just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. It's my time. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. It's my time. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. It's my time. I came from Philly, then I moved to Harrisburg. Spent time in Cali, blowing on the rarest herb. Made some bread, was a manager then. Good at dealing with people, couldn't handle the pen. Money had me scrambling like Randall back then. Ups and downs with my chick, hard to handle it, man. What's the dough really mean without family and love? Still go for your dreams, but put family above all the shallow shit. People try to take you off your path, you don't allow that shit. Stop wanting love from those that don't know you. Appreciate your folks that seen what you go through. Why would I stop? I don't even know how. Papa Zan, that's the only way I'll slow down. I could entertain y'all, but I'm no clown. Huff and puff on that L till it blows down. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. Just living my life, just living my life.
Boat right there, so maybe you can get some advice.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Interviews with Everyday People. We're here, another interview in the books. We're having a good time here. I'll let my guest introduce herself in a second, but I just want to get into the meat and potatoes here. But if you guys like what you hear, you're a big fan of the show, or you like what you're about to hear, check all the links in the description below for everything we're going to talk about. Intro music now. It's the second time around by Vito. Thank you so much for the music, man. It's a good time, and now all of my shows now have music, which is really cool, and I like the fact that it's for the most part local. Like it's all homegrown talent. Nice. But yeah, we have PayPal donations tab as well as our merch store. We'll get into that a little bit too, but if you would like, you can introduce yourself here.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Alison Haley-Miller. I'm actually from Pottsville, Pennsylvania. I am a jack of all trades, actually. I'm a mother. I'm a bartender. I do network marketing. I also work in the cannabis industry, and so that is my exciting life.
Nice.
I can get a little more into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Behind the scenes, if you're a big fan of our network here and our shows, you may know we just got a new addition to Not Cool in High School, and we'll little backstory behind that we'll get into in a little bit. But Steve, you and Steve have a connection, right?
Yeah, we do. We have a love connection.
A little love connection. Yeah, Steve has been phenomenal for the show. Hence why you probably pushed him towards us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I always found it entertaining. So
Yeah.
I thought, yeah.
And he's been a great addition. I'm sure I feel like he's having a good time with it.
He loves it.
Yeah.
Definitely hitting all those marks, like, for sure.
I like having him because he makes me feel funnier. Because he laughs at everything.
He has the best laugh.
He does. Like
I told him that, like that's your part.
Yeah,
About your laugh.
He's the laugh guy. He's our laugh track. Like especially when me and Ben have our banter, you can just see him over there, like dying.
I think Ben has like a man crush because they're in like the same anime game.
Yeah, as soon as he dropped anime, Ben was like someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, bromance.
Yeah, a little bromance. Yeah. So you said you have a lot going on. You're a bartender at where do you bartend at?
Oh yeah, at Hucklebucks in Pottsville.
Love
it
Hucklebucks.
is. Yes, thank you. Everybody loves Hucklebucks. It's that local home bar that everybody really kind of goes to. Not much really changes. The atmosphere is always like really inviting. The music is always good. Like we always have probably like the best craft beers, and they are constantly rotating. Like weekly, we have like the newest stuff. It's always changing. Talking about homegrown music, like they have Blind Pigeon Record that plays there all the time. They're always getting in local acts, even places from out of town.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different bands that they've highlighted, like from like Harrisburg, and it's pretty cool.
I've seen a lot of cool bands there. I kind of call it the CBGB of Pottsville.
Yes.
And the only reason I kind of put the two together is because you kind of have to, like, it very, very rarely you could be a cover band to play there. Like, almost not, but I have seen Dookie there. That was... yes. That was probably the only cover band I've seen ever there. But once again, when it's Fulton Collins.
Right.
And a Cantwell.
That's an exception.
Yeah, you have to let it go.
Novels.
But it showcases original music. My only complaint is the men's bathroom. My God.
I feel for you. I seriously I don't even want to change a paper towel roll, and that is not even in the same room.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. No comment.
There's been one time where I really had to go to the bathroom, we'll say, and it wasn't a number one, and there's no chance. I can't hold my breath that long.
Yeah, we don't even offer toilet paper. No.
And someone, I think Kendra at the time, snuck me to the women's room and just kind of blocked it. Yeah. So I can do my thing. But yeah,
it's 2019.
Yeah.
It's cool. I
wish more people would do it.
As long as you're not creeping. Nobody cares.
I don't understand. I think there should be more intergender bathrooms.
Yeah.
But people need to be not gross. Lift a seat, put the seat back down, or I don't care the whole rule. I mean, but just don't pee all everywhere and just don't make a mess. I hate when people go in the bathroom how can I destroy this place?
I live in a house with all girls. I grew up in a house with all girls. So the boy bathroom, it's just not tolerated. It took a while to kind of break Steve of that habit, but he kind of got used to it.
He's potty trained now.
Yeah, he was potty. What really potty trained him is when our daughter was potty training, and I was like, listen, the first time you got to scoop her up out of the toilet in the middle of the night,
her feet are sticking straight.
You're never going to do it again. And,
it happened.
That's what happened.
Did you ever see the South Park episode where they have to, because the woman, she always yelled at her son for leaving the toilet seat up, and she dies in the episode because her guts got sucked through the toilet.
Oh. That reminds me of a Chuck Palahniuk book.
and then from there on, it was a TSA episode where everyone had to buckle up to be on the toilet, and it was all these crazy. It was a funny episode, but I always remember it's they had a barrier with the toilet in the ground, but it was really funny. But yeah, I could just. Yeah, I did that one time to myself. I left the seat up, and then I went back later and sat down, and I took a ride. Yeah,
you only have to do that once to realize that you don't want to do it again. It's just the cold water.
That water's cold.
Cold water in the bum is just not inviting. No, for sure.
Yeah. So one time you were talking about the craft. We did on our Bang of Beers. We were talking about where's the best places in the area to get craft beer, where you could buy it or the things. And Pottsville's very fortunate. Pretty much every major bar in Pottsville, you can get a craft beer. I would rank, I give a two-way, it's kind of a three-way tie between you guys, the Wheel, and the Greystone.
Yeah.
You guys have more on tap, where Greystone, I think, has two on tap, craft on tap. Usually have that big, yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, let's talk about Nick's Mules. Have you ever had one of Nick's?
Yep.
Oh, Moscow Mules, they're amazing. Yeah. We got these mules on tap that are just out of this world.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But yeah, it's really, really good. So I'm a big fan of Hucklebucks. And you guys have trivia there, and then wing night.
Yeah.
The wing night threw me off the first time I went. I thought I was going for a wing night, not a chicken night. When they say
get
a
the
wing
and the ding.
Yeah.
You get the whole.
It was a lot of
wing,
work.
Ding, the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was I love eating crab and lobster. I just don't have patience for it. And then when I got, I was like, what is this? They're like, yeah, this. I'm like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can do this. This is not what I wasn't mentally prepared coming in.
No.
Second time I went, I had more of a better experience. But the first time I was like, is this a joke? They're like, what do you want? I'm like, just a dozen wings. They're like, you want a dozen? And I was like, yeah. They're like, just get one. I'm like, one wing? I didn't know. It didn't process.
Right. Yeah. So you really only want to order a half dozen.
Yeah.
You're getting the whole dozen. It's they're pretty crazy. But the food's
it's really good.
Yeah, super good. Super good. Huckle brunch, we do that.
I have not done that yet.
I highly, highly recommend it. They do a special crafted menu of food, and then they do a special crafted menu of drinks, so it's limited. And and that's what makes for a good time is the fact that it is limited and super, super cool place.
Yeah.
I also bartend at my local fire company. I just volunteer once or twice a week.
I'm a big firefighter supporter.
I love it. I love it. I think that that's just big local and community and just kind of doing your part.
I should have been a second generation, but I dropped the ball. I always do the Dane Cook skit. Like, I always wanted to be a firefighter, but then I just found out I just wanted to spray shit with a hose.
Right. It's so true. It's so true. But, any way that you can, help out there. And I'm just there usually, like, when they do, like, pool nights. They have different
What company?
Citizens in Palo Alto.
I'm a citizen as well, but in Monte City.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's like Citizens, Humane, like Dutchies. Like those three companies are just all over School County.
And Palo Alto is like seriously like a mile long, and we have two. We have like Citizens.
Monte City is a mile. I think a mile from light to light, and there's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's too many.
I mean, but the thing is it's important that they kind of start to like really kind of unify and work together because they're really struggling. If you look at
members,
yeah, absolutely. If you look at the membership and if you look at the average age of like firefighters, I think it's something like 43. And that's. I'm not saying that 43 is old because I'm actually it's not that far away, but it is. Old because you don't have younger people getting involved, and so not.
Well, there's 2 reasons for that. There's one because the requirement, like before, you can just be like, I'm part of the membership, and then old man Joe, because everyone has an old Joe at the station. Old Joe would take you to the training ground, or take you
Bob.
Yeah, Bob Joe. They would take you to the scene, and they're like, trial by fire, kid. Put this on. Follow me. You're on my back. That's what we're gonna do, and you learn on the job, which is good, but they've upped their training requirements and now to get your essentials class, which is must even be on a fire scene, it's a very long course, and most people that have full-time jobs can't take the course because the courses interact with jobs. So there's a lot of things that are good about it because people are now trained and they do a better job when they're on the scene, but also it's hindering people signing up because they just don't have time to go through the training.
Maybe they should look at putting something technical into like a technical school, like get kids involved, like when they're
while they're in high school. That'd be a great idea.
Oh my God. That's the only kind I have.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you're listening to this and you are local, definitely they need you because everyone doesn't realize they need firefighters.
And everybody can have a part. The Mike, our head guy, like he said that one of the most crucial and beneficial people that they ever had, like people used to kind of give him a hard time or whatever, but one of the best guys they had was a guy who went to the store, got lunch meat, got bread, made sandwiches, brought them coffee. You know what I mean? So like
sometimes you're there a long time.
Right. You can fight a fire. You can help the crew. You can help put away the equipment. I mean, sometimes they're out there for a really long time. So yeah,
it definitely. I always recommend if you're even thinking about it, just go try it out.
Yeah.
It's not only are you joining.
Literally just go and just try to be a member and just see what they're all about.
Because it's from experience and growing up in the fire department, you're not, especially if you're someone who maybe doesn't fit in somewhere, or maybe you don't have a lot of friends, or you don't have a big support system, join a firehouse. Yeah. Because you're literally, you're going to be joining a family. Yeah. And you're going to get an experience and people. I mean, you're going to have people you don't like everywhere you go, but you're going to come into those challenges. But for the most part, you're literally joining like a fraternity or a brotherhood or a family that you can't get in any other type of experience. It's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. That
was a weird side tangent. But I think it was needed, right?
Yeah, no, I love it.
That happens a lot.
I'm big local. I mean, I'm from a really small town and I have a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, me too. So. I grew up initially in Shenandoah. Okay. And then pretty much raised in Monte City. So, and it takes a lot of mental capacity and a lot of determination. It's keep saying you have pride growing up in Monte City, but I do. I love my town. Like people, it gets a bad rap, and I can see how. But it's something that I do. I always support my Monte City. I go back all the time and see people, and I'm like, man, I'm only a town away. It's like I go back all the time, but I love it. I love Monte City, but. Yeah, I'm a Redskins fan too, so I'm all about I'm a glutton for punishment. Like,
see, I thought that was Eagles fans.
Yeah, but I don't get many W's in my column, but when we happen, I'm the type of person like, oh, they got beat. I'm like, but they didn't get beat by 40. All right,
hey,
it's a small stepping stone.
I'm all about the underdog.
Yeah, I'm used to disappointment in my life.
Well, like I said, I live in Palo Alto, and after I graduated high school, I went to school for multimedia graphic design, just like a 2-year associate, and then I moved back home back to Pottsville for a couple years, and then I moved down to Harrisburg, and I was down in Harrisburg for a while. So when Steve and I came back to Pottsville, or back to Scoop County, we ended up buying the house directly across from my parents and the house from where I grew up. And
Everyone loves Raymond.
It's a blessing. It's nice. It could have its moments, where, I'm not calling it a curse because I don't feel that anything is a curse, but your mother does live right across the street from you. But it also is great whenever you need a cup of sugar, glass of milk, coffee, but yeah. And I'm really fortunate that we have our house. Like, it was a house that I've always kind of admired. It was owned by a single family, the Pascuzzos, and his father built it and then sold it to him. And I think he was like maybe around in his late 70s when he bought it. So he's still alive. But this house is amazing. It has these dugout walls, like the yard is tiered off because they used to do their garden beds and their food gardens and stuff. And so it has these 100-year-old walls that were built from all the native stone in the yard. It's a pain in the ass to cut, but it looks good.
So, what are some of the things you want to get into today and talk about? We got into a little bit in the beginning. I'm just going through your checklist. We got your bartending.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess right now I've been really kind of going on this soul searching journey. I talked to you about it a little bit before, where I'm on a media diet. I'm trying to not take in any negativity. I'm trying
so
to.
Hard.
It is, well, that's really interesting. So what I'm doing is I'm listening to music that is good music. I'm not putting on metal. Not that metal is bad, but I'm putting on stuff that's makes me feel good, happy, poppy. Podcast, listening to a lot of learning. I love Gary Vee. I love how he, it just kind of lays everything out there for you. Jay Shetty, Prince Ye, and just kind of listen to this different stuff. And then also what I'm doing is by taking it in, I'm also putting it out there, and then really trying to change my perspective and really find all this gratitude that's out there in the world. And a lot of things have really kind of been moving very well. I suffered with a lot of personal unrest.
Yes.
And so I'm just going to call it personal unrest, where I kind of felt like I've lost everything. And so I kind of had to strip everything down and really start to look at things a whole lot differently.
I would 100% relate to that. So my big thing is I was always looking in, and this can sound corny, and people that are sports fans are like, "Are you serious, man? That's really..." But hey, if whatever's your ignition or your spark, for how corny it may be, it did its job. But I was at a point where depression, anxiety, and stuff, and I've talked this on previous episodes. I don't want to bore people again, especially if they're a consistent listener. But I was always looking for that. How can I better myself? When I was younger, I tried religion. It wasn't for me. Because I had to ask too many questions, and then I got to rely on somebody else, and then I got to do more. I'm just like, you know what? I don't think this is for me. If there's a higher power, cool. I just don't have time to do what you want me to do when it comes to your book and your structure of the way people have created a structure I'm supposed to go through. And then when I ask questions, they're like, well, you just got to have faith. I'm like, that doesn't work for me. I'm very I got to seek the answers. Sorry, I drink one beer and I get the beer burps. All right. So, so I found, I was really inspired by, I guess you could say, attitudes from people. I always start looking at attitudes, and then I would look at, for some reason, I was always drawn to people who other people thought were cocky. They're kind of arrogant, they're cocky, and I was like, I don't think they are. I just think they have extreme amount of confidence that you can't handle that, and they come off as cocky to you.
That's really interesting. You start to realize that, I worked in the service industry. I worked in sales. I work with people. I bartend. I see, I have, waitress. And by the way, I think that is, I think that I did not get I'm not doing this by by chance.
Yeah.
I'm totally doing this like by choice. This is kind of where I'm supposed to be. Like, I have this really cool environment where I get to talk to people and they really open up. Like, if you think about it, we're like, especially a bartender, like, you're almost like a therapist. People come and tell you some really, like, actually, they probably visit me and pay me more than they do their therapist. So it's really interesting. You really get to, like, hear people's stories. And I love being really objective and just kind of, like, taking it in.
And that's kind of where the idea of this came to. But real quick before we get to that part, so I was always like, well, what is up with this guy? I was at the time I was a big mixed martial arts fan, and I was like, what's up with this Conor McGregor? How does this guy come from nothing and then all of a sudden he's the most successful dude? And yes, he talked a lot of smack, but he had a different aura about him. And then I looked that he read this book called The Secret. So I looked into the book, and when I read it, it's not a big read, and I read it, and I was like, all right, so people can really like, oh, what is this hippie mumbo jumbo nonsense? And I was like, okay, I was very subjective, but I took what I thought was needed out of it. And what I got out of it for the most part is, if you put enough energy out in the world, or you speak of something enough, I feel it can happen, but you can't just be like, I want to be rich and then go to bed for the night. You got to work for it.
Right.
Like, you got to self-motivate yourself a little bit. And that's technically the secret. Like, you know what I mean? Like
we're going to break the code. The secret is there is no secret. You have to really
work.
work for it.
Exactly.
But the interesting thing is you create this imagery in your mind, and then it becomes part of you, and then you work towards it. Nothing great that you have ever done, you didn't bring into fruition. You are doing this. You wanted this.
Yes.
And so, it is. It's real. I mean, it's really amazing.
Yeah. And I do believe that there is some type of higher power or cosmic thing, or like this yin and yang, whatever religion or belief system you have. I think it's all very tightly correlated, and I've gotten to the point where I was always someone who was very negative. I was always angry. I was always super emotional. I didn't know how to handle my emotions. I have ways I perceive things that maybe weren't the way that other people thought I was going through situations, but yeah, sorry. But so then I got to the point where I was like, all right, well, my biggest thing is I'm positive, but I'm not as positive as I want to be. And I would be at my job and I'd be like, oh my God, my body hurts. Like, I was diagnosed with a joint disorder, which will tie into our conversation in a bit here. But I would be like, all right, oh my God, woe is me. I'm in pain, but I have to, unload 16 trucks today, and I got to, do all this manual physical labor. And it's so easy to put yourself in a negative mind state. Like, it's so easy. It's so much easier to be a negative person than it is a positive person. So I tried to reroute myself. And when I rerouted myself, I found that I have attracted more people of positive light towards me, and I have attracted people who were not as positive, would see the change in me, and they would then turn them and I never even told them about this book. I never told them that I was religious. I never told them any backstory. I was just the light they needed to see, and they were like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And I just attracted it more. Now, I'm not trying to sound like I'm a god or I'm controlling the universe, but I just feel that if you put out a bright enough light, you're going to attract more bright light. And if you get yourself to the point, and I'm not perfect, I still have my moments of doubt where I do get negative, and I try to, but as soon as I see myself doing it, I'm like, no.
Yeah. It's like exercise. You have to constantly redirect. It's interesting because our pain body is really tied to our emotional negativity.
Yeah.
It's, and so when you are feeling that way, and then also like if there is a whirlpool of negativity around you, whether it be, people in your family, people in your friend circle that, just don't have anything nice to say sometimes, and that really weighs a lot on.
And I didn't give them very much nice things to say. I was always kind of like,
and you kind of join
the world.
Right. You join along and you think that you're being funny and you think that you're being sarcastic, and you're like, oh, well, and then, but then you realize that, oh my gosh, like I spoke these words into existence. Like this does suck. Like my life does suck. Like whatever. And so, there are people that either wake up and are like, wow, like I don't want to think about it. If you're alive for another 40 years, did you want to do you want to be where you were a year ago, or do
Yep.
you want to be where you are right now,
Exactly.
and progressing forward? And it's obviously like, you know what I mean. You feel like you really
Yeah.
made that right choice.
And it's really crazy too. Like once I started making this change, and I was like, cool. I would find out like. Because everyone's like, oh man, you always want to talk about leaving a legacy. Or like, oh, I wish I was rich, or I wish I was famous, or I wish I was someone on TV that I can say something and people would listen. Spoiler alert, we live in a time where even rich, famous people say something and no one likes it, and that person gets cast aside anyway.
Right.
So don't even worry about what other people think or say, as long as you're true to your word. But I have like a different, like when you do anything, when you wake up in the morning and you walk out of your house, it's like casting a stone into a puddle, and you make a ripple effect, and that ripple can go anywhere. And I was at one point in my life when I was younger, my stone made a ripple that wasn't that great. Not always people had the greatest, nicest things to say about me, or I was maybe some people see me in a complete different light where he just didn't talk, he was quiet, I didn't know anything about him, like, which is kind of insane to think now. And then I have another ripple where I was a coach, like coached youth soccer for a long time, and hopefully a lot of what the kids and girls and boys I coached would say, like, I was a very good impact on them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then to this day, I still have people come up like, oh my God, I remember you told me this. Like, I would try to not just make a good soccer player, but I would like kind of prepare them for like some life lessons as well.
Yeah.
But it's just those casting stones. And like now this podcast is my next stone. Like, going in a bar and how you're talking about sitting, like being in the music scene, the reason why like people like you interview so many bands, because I built up a nice reputation of talking to bands and understanding that I don't play an instrument, I can't sing, I can't do any. I wish I could be a front man so bad, but it'll never be. Not my negativity, I just trust me, I've tried. But yeah, but I'd go to a bar and I would hang out with a band and just sit and talk to people. Now, I am a married man, and some people would see me talking to a female in a bar, and they're like, oh, look at this, he's married. I'm just having a conversation, but that's where the negativity sets in. Right. And I would have these conversations that I've had on podcasts for now almost a year in bars, in locations, and I'm like, man, this is like, there's something to this. You know what I mean? Like, these people have extraordinary stories. Like, I would sit in a bar and talk to someone like, oh my God, a couple weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, like a couple years ago, I was struggling with this, and this, and I'm here now, and obviously, like, I'm a little drunk now, don't judge me, but this is me, like, kind of coming out of my shell, and I'm like, oh my, like, every single place I went to, no matter where I was with the band at that time, because for almost, like, a year and a half, 2 years, I was with the boys upstairs every weekend, multiple days a week, and just meeting all these incredible people of all, like, rich people, middle-class people who didn't have a pot to piss in, and every single one of them had phenomenal stories.
Absolutely. People's stories are really amazing, and it's really cool because right now you have this really awesome task of like collecting people's stories, putting them out there. Like helping them write the book.
Yeah, and cool. I would be like, you know what, man, like, yes, you've done this, and this, but like you've inspired even me to leave this bar tonight and be a better person. You know what I mean? Like, and carry myself in a different light so I can make an impact on somebody. And then I kind of was sitting down with Steve and stuff one day. I was like, man, I did this a long time ago. Like, I did 2 episodes. The one episode I completely lost. I had all the audio and I lost it. And I was really, really bummed, but I did a whole interview with my grandmother.
Nice.
We ended up doing it again on camera, which is great. And then I did my pilot episode that you can only hear on like the audio aspect of things with my buddy Brian. And like 2 years went by and I didn't do another interview. And I didn't even have a name for this or anything. And then I go to Steve, I said, this is kind of what I want to do. He's like, that's awesome, dude, do it. And like Steve, Dave, Tom, like they all pushed me to like do this. And then here I am now, but it's fun, man. It's really cool to meet new people and try to, like, I'm diving into a section where maybe not much light is shining. Like, when you go to a bar, you can easily find the most darkest, the scariest places of the world. But if you walk in, like I said, I'm bringing in my light, I can attract, like, I'm trying to make a small change in our community that hopefully can resonate. I'm casting my stone in the puddle, and I'm trying to make a ripple and changing my local surrounding. Like, if this becomes world famous, perfect. That's cool, but that's not my objective. My objective is to hit home. Like, not only letting people tell their stories, but also hey, check out this band, check out this business, check out, you know what I mean? Trying to find those gems in our community.
Absolutely. Supporting local is like really, really big. And that's one thing about Schuylkill County. Like they do, a lot of people do want to support their local. Unfortunately, we don't have any shopping centers really here anymore. So, you're seeing a lot of those like local mom and pops popping back up. I saw that, there's Pottsville, Pottsville's doing
Downtown
the
Pottsville.
revitalization. I think even Shenandoah is
It's starting to spark in a Shenandoah now.
Yeah, they have. So I think
We were in York.
I think the Lions launch.
Yeah, York, and then we were in a place in Maryland. I forget what the name of the place in Maryland was, but it was like this. It reminded me of downtown Pottsville, except there was not just one main drag. There was different offshoots, but the town was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. Like the towns and the storefront and the people got it. They didn't trash it. They didn't litter. They every window had a sticker that said support local, and it was like, and they were little jewelry stores. They were candle stores. They were tea stores. There was video games, like a little like a hobby shop where you can go in and
like Jim Thorpe.
Yeah,
kind of where you
it
had
was
everything.
literally Jim Thorpe, but more of an upscale retro version, not so much the classic version. And I remember walking around and I was saying to my wife, like, this could be Pottsville. Like, this could be Pottsville. This could be Monty City. This could be any of our little coal region towns. They just got to have the faith to want to do it. I truly feel that the community will get behind it. And it's slowly starting to get there. Yeah.
You see them doing like the Arch Street Market in Pottsville and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
and I
That's
just had on Tess on, and she was talking about her business that she's doing with the flower shop.
Oh, yeah,
where it's like
yeah.
all like local like craft stores and stuff.
I think that's a really awesome idea. I saw that and I suggested it to my sister. My sister, she does like art and she's been doing like crafts. She's doing crafts because unfortunately art, same thing as music, it doesn't get the right kind of appreciation, unless you're in like different networks and you really kind of have to get yourself out there. But
I had an artist on the show.
Oh my God,
Haley Stokes.
Well, I tried to get my sister to come and do this with me, but she's like, no, she suffers from she would never be able to sit in front of this microphone. She'd be like, no, I'm good. She'd be sitting right here painting the whole entire time. That's all. She just sit there and just paints all day.
Yeah.
She's pretty amazing. So
where can you find her art at?
Facebook. She has it, Haley Original Art and Design. She has like a lot of her craft stuff. Right now she did, she has for the season Psychedelic Snowmen. She does like all different kinds of these like, craft boards and the snowmen, but each of them are different. Some of them are like black light reactive.
Really?
They're just
that's awesome.
They have like little steampunk kind of like feathers and gears and
that's your sister.
Yeah.
Well, then
her name is Shannon. Her name is Shannon Haley, and her Facebook you can find her Haley Original Art and Design.
Well, it must run in the family because your art abilities are insane.
Yeah, my model painting.
Jesus Christmas! Steve brought this one. It was like a lizard dude. And you like, if I would have painted that, I would have just painted it green and I would have dipped it in the paint and called it a day. You painted it, and you actually like now these statues. I can't even. You can't even see in the camera how tiny I'm making my fingers. But these are the tiniest. Like you look like you needed like the Geppetto glasses where you click your thing and like you zoom in. Like the guy from Toy Story where he's fixing Woody's clothes and he's zooming in with his glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And like you are painting these lines and this scale and this detail on this tiny little character. And trust me, if you pick one up and really look into it, there's more to it than just that little figure. You do a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a lot of fun. That's a little art therapy for me. I don't look at them the same way that he does. Like, I just kind of like look at them and I'll kind of like get an idea. Obviously, some of them have cards. Sometimes I'll be like, because the detail is very, very small. And when they come on these like plastic sprues and he puts them together and then like I go through and paint them. But sometimes it's hard to see like what those things are. And you're like, is that? And it's a pocket watch.
Yeah.
Okay. But the pocket watch is like literally like the size of the end of a toothpick. Like it's super, super tiny. So like you have special brushes that get like the detail. It's fun.
We have a couple pictures of some of his models on our Instagram page. You should definitely check them out. But she gets gets in there. Like it doesn't. The photos don't do it justice. Them things look crazy. Like every time he brings them, I'm like, he's like, this one. I'm like, I don't care what it does. Just let me. And I'm looking at the art. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna have him. I'm gonna send him with some of my favorites. Actually, he has one that like he. I don't, and it's funny because I don't know
much about it.
I don't know much about it.
Ben eats it up.
He tells his stories, and like most of the time, I'm like, And one of his friends that he does a league with, his girlfriend called me, and she's like, what size of the bases that they are? And I'm like, no,
I just paint them.
And she was like, oh, okay.
You could probably get a commission off that. Like he shows up and be like, this is my wife does, and someone like,
but unfortunately,
make some money building and painting sets.
Yeah, no, like
no,
the problem is he doesn't want to get rid of them once he has them. You should see the box. Like he has this.
He brought a little lunch can.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's there's so much cool stuff out there. Like I love it. I love walking through Pottsville now and seeing these little places pop up. Big thing my wife's into. Have you ever done the Mud and Maker yet?
No.
Oh my God, it's so much fun. It's honest. If you're in Pottsville and you're looking for just something really fun to do, just go on Mud and Maker's Facebook page and sign up for one of their classes on their website. Mm-hmm. My wife last year did for Halloween. It's like a candle holder or something, but she made Frankenstein. So they had it again this year, except my wife's like, well, I'm not going to make another Frankenstein. So she made the Bride of Frankenstein.
Aww,
then we did one together. My first one I ever did, and it was a gnome class where you make a gnome, but because it was around Halloween time, we made zombie gnomes.
Yeah.
And,
that's a pretty good idea.
And you could take kids. It's super kid friendly. It could be a date night, like just like you can go and grab a bite to eat somewhere, and then go to the Mud and Maker class. It's so much fun. I recommend anyone to do it. I really apologize to the woman who runs it. I don't know her name. My wife goes there all the time. She has a cute little dog. The dog will literally sit next to you the whole time.
If they had a dog there.
Yeah, and you literally pet him, and he's like, he puffs up smoke because he sits around the pottery all day. She goes home and like takes care of washes. I'm not saying this dog's abused, but people are petting him all day with clay hands. You know what I mean? Like, and he loves it. Like, but it's really, really good time. It's a really cool thing in Pottsville. I think people should definitely go check out as well.
Yeah,
it's actually Hucklebucks, and it's right across from the bank.
Yeah, I'm familiar where they're at. I mean, I've been in there before, but I've never taken any of the classes that they
definitely
had.
Try it.
I mean, our classes is like kind of just
sipping paints.
What kind of just happens on a daily basis. Like I said, my sister's around. She usually like has the kids doing something. We also do. I go with her. We do the senior center of our Providence place, and we paint with the seniors for.
Oh, nice!
And we do that once a month, and that's
a good time.
Oh my God, I love it.
I
love it.
When I get my next step here is I want to get this little portable studio. It's literally everything I have here just for audio only. And I would love to go to like Providence places or some of our local high rise and just sit down and be like,
take their stories. Yes. Amazing. Yes,
because they're not going to be around forever, you know. And I don't even know if that's even allowed to do. Like if I went to them like, hey, is it cool if I just set up a spot and I wouldn't approach anybody. They can approach me, and if they want to come tell their story, and maybe just go like maybe once or twice. Like every 2 or 3 months, just to get some familiar face. I just think it'd be a really cool experience.
Mean, absolutely. They do. They have a lot to say. It's really interesting, like painting with them, because a lot of them don't have the confidence to even kind of, the first couple classes we had to kind of like figure out what was going to work for them as far as like their motor skills and ability, because some of them don't have
Alzheimer's and stuff.
Yeah, some of them don't have like, the grip strength for the brushes. So we tried a couple different things, but they're always afraid to just make that mark. And we really kind of encourage them to get messy, and they're all like wearing like white blouses and being like, but I've never done this before. And you're like, wow, like it's sad. You don't have the confidence to just be silly, you know. And then they get into it, and then we, once we get silly with them, they'll start to get into it.
It would be really interesting. I'm sure probably someone's done a study on it, but like I watched this video the one time with this elderly gentleman in like a nursing home, and he was an elderly black guy, and he like you literally seen him in a chair. He couldn't even close his mouth. Like he was like his mouth was slouched open, just literally looked like he was looking into space. His eyes were real droopy, and they said he would sit in this chair in the rec room all day long. He wouldn't talk to nobody. He could barely put sentences out. You would go up and talk to him. He'd just make like, You know what I mean? Just very basic modal skills. Like, didn't even look like he had much of a soul, like a life left in him anymore. So they start doing these therapy classes, and I think they tried art, but he just didn't want to move. And then they would come in and they would say, like, they would looked up when, like, I guess they started with, like, he's this old, so, like, at this time when he was at this age, they tried, like, they put an iPod in his ear, and they played music from when he was, like, a teenager. And as soon as he heard the music, he literally transformed to a different human being.
Yeah.
Like, he popped up in his seat, he would sit upright, he'd snap his fingers, he would articulate more, he'd be like mouthing along the lyrics to the song, and he'd be like, 1935, this song here, and he literally turned into Eddie Collins, where he can recite the record and where it hit on the top charts, and like it changed his life. Like, so
Absolutely.
art and creativity and music, like, I'm sure if you put like a pen if they start painting, it might trigger something in their head to like paint from memory, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, there is, that's where all the gems are. When we talk about The Secret, like, that's where all the gems are: art, music, writing. I think the reason why people are so inspired by people in the limelight is because we see them as being brave enough and to do it. And then they write these songs and you're like, wow, like, I really feel that. And then you realize that you're not really alone. And, so that really is kind of where, like, all that magic is. And, it's interesting when you say about that, like, cognitive part of the brain, like, you always have those, like, really sharp memories, and it's really interesting to see, like, how that stuff, like I said the other day, I was watching that Mind Unleashed, and they were talking
Netflix,
about and on Netflix, and they were talking about, like, how your imagination and how your brain, like, how your memories, they fire the same way. So the things that you imagine or the things that you'll see in the future fire the same neurons and synapses as in your past. So when you're talking about The Secret and creating things, like, it's
powerful.
really, it is, the mind is so powerful.
Did you ever see that documentary? Now, I'm not promoting this, this is not my thing at all, but where they're actually starting to treat Alzheimer's and certain brain functions and depression and anxiety, and they're starting to treat it with micro doses of mushrooms.
Dude, I just having this conversation the other day.
And
yes.
It's not even getting people to hallucinate. It's micro doses.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
it's literally changing everything they thought of the medical industry. Mushrooms, like stuff that was abused as a drug, they're now in micro, like
it wasn't. I mean, it did
not abused, but people were.
It did go through this, like, period in the '60s and stuff. But realistically, the medicinal, uses that are behind it, they use it to treat, like, people that have, are terminal. It allows them to, like, cope and, accept the fact that, they're going to leave their earthly bodies, like, they're going to die, and they accept that. They also use it. They also use it to give to people who have survived. Like, say, like a stage 4 or something like that, like a cancer or something like that, because those people also suffer with, upset, anxiety, because they're, afraid it's going to come back, things like that. And so when they will also microdose them as well. And they are doing a lot of different studies with that. If you ever see, like, I love that Joe Rogan when they're talking about ayahuasca.
Yeah. Have
like,
you done ayahuasca, bro?
Yeah, we can't get into that. I mean, I don't know much about it, but I have actually. I just read an article on it, and I did just see. About it myself.
I tried, not voluntarily, but I've experienced a hallucinogenic when I was a teenager.
Yeah,
probably not healthy because your brain's not developed yet. I thought I was just smoking regular, just bud, and it had more than I bargained for.
That's actually very dangerous.
It scared the shit out of me, and I realized very quickly that I don't know how I would do with psychedelics, and I never went near them ever. Actually, I stopped smoking. I stopped doing drugs because of it. Like, I wouldn't touch marijuana ever again. Like, it was actually like it was PCP edition. Like, it freaked me out.
Yeah, people have some really bad experiences. Yeah. I definitely wouldn't recommend that. That spores in your lung, not good. Yeah. Don't do this at home.
Don't. I always joke around, like, 'cause I'm very it's funny who my influences are. My struck. I'm a huge Batman fan, not because obviously he's like the coolest
like my
hero.
Joker gear?
I do. I was thinking Joker Lex Luthor when you walked in, but I'm very like Batman. I know he's a fictional character, but once again, I can pull inspiration from that, and I know, you just want to be able to fight and be able to just toughest. No, he's not just the toughest guy in the room. He's one of the smartest guys in the room, and he's one of the most headstrong people. But he does have his demons that do bother his mental ability as well. So he shows me as you could do amazing things, but you can also still be human and suffer from some mental and some anxiety and some stress or postpartum or PTSD, if you want to call it, from some of the experiences you've had in the past. So I remember that's something I've always stuck with me since I was a kid, like the Batman, like you got to be tougher, stronger. So when I was experiencing this psychedelic or this altered mind state, the entire time in my head, like I had my inner Bruce Conroy. Like, so if you don't know who, not Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman from the animated series.
Oh, okay.
In my head, I was like, "You can do this. You'll be fine. Just fight." And I'm like, in my head, like, fight the Joker's toxin. Like, or like, Scarecrow's trying to get you. Like, and in my head, one head of my brain, I'm like, Tony, like, my one brain's going like, Tony, you're going to fucking die, bro. This is never going to end. And my other side of my brain's like, no, man, you got this. It's just fight it.
I was just cusping adulthood like the first time I ever did that, and it was an interesting experience. I was at a festival, and boy, good times. But I think that guy's voice was in my head too, going,
man.
"You're gonna make it through it." And it's
The other half of my brain was not having a good time. It was like, you're gonna die. Just it was bad. Every negative thing in my life was just terrible. But
I was just like, I'm still here. I'm
probably
alive.
the worst segue to how I was going to get into our next topic.
I know. That's okay. We're
it
good.
started off so good when we were like, oh, look, you can microdose things and it's amazing purposes. So we're going to pretend all that other negative stuff happened.
Yeah.
Didn't happen, but
Well, no, we experienced life. I don't think that
100%.
anybody should be condoned for that.
Yeah, no. If you've experimented with things, obviously there's people who I know who take psychedelic drugs all the time. It's like literally once a month they take a psychedelic and they say they have it all mine, and they're probably the most positive, upbeat people I've ever met in my life. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not judging if that's your thing. Do it. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody.
Right? Same.
But how we're going to dive into a little bit of CBD.
CBD.
So another, the devil's lettuce, the most evil drug on the planet. I can legally go buy this and drink myself to death, but I can't get a plant that has been proven to have so many positive effects to people.
Absolutely.
When it's not altered with other nonsense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you, back in December of 2018, like Trump finally lifted the Farm Bill, which allowed hemp to be, sold and used as a textile, and for CBD, and we could have dietary supplements such as that, and it really kind of opened up the floodgates for a really big market. So right now, when you're seeing it everywhere, there's hype in it. You see it on on your news weeks and in the grocery store. You can even find it on the shelves in your grocery store.
I was actually the stuff I was using for the longest time that I was buying from online is now being sold in Redner's.
Yeah.
Medterra.
Yeah. I'm not actually, you know what? I did see that Medterra. And then we have different doses, and they have different carrier oils and different things like that. But the hemp, a lot of people, they confuse like hemp and cannabis. Like cannabis is the plant species, and then you have hemp, and then you have marijuana. So your hemp is your high in your CBDs. You can have a full spectrum. There's like your CBD, CBD1. It usually has THC, which gives it the full spectrum, the full spectrum effect. And then you also have just like a stripped down CBD version. And then you have marijuana, which those are like really high in THCs. And that's what gives you that psychoactive effect.
Yeah.
That's the giggles. That's the up in smoke. But even that right now, a lot of people are really starting to realize that it's not so evil either. I mean,
yeah. It's the problem is, I think, not the problem, but I think the general idea is like marijuana in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s is a completely different marijuana in 2019. Like the strands of THC have gotten so much higher.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's where like not abuse, but that's where people get scared. Like that's like if you're gonna put an alcohol out that's 2% alcohol, and now you're drinking a craft beer.
Right.
For 15% alcohol, and it's taken you less time to get to a certain spot that where you can lose like functions. You know what I mean? You're not in the right state of mind at all the time. I think that's what scares people. But also, if you can balance out the THC and CBD aspect of things, that's where you're starting to get it's not more of a recreation thing. You're actually getting positive effects in that aspect as well. But people just see pot, hemp, marijuana, THC, and they completely eliminate the CBD and the medical aspect of things.
They just think, actually, a lot of people lump it all into one thing,
yeah.
you know, and they just kind of think that it's all the same. I mean, each of them have like their own benefit. As far as like, you're seeing that, you know, they're talking about recreational in Pennsylvania.
Just got passed. Well, not passed, but it's hitting legislation.
It's hitting legislation, like, and
It was proposed. Yeah.
And you know, I mean, they just did that tour last year. You know, and that's talking about the marijuana, like, but CBD it's really interesting because a lot of people are like unsure, especially people that are like really kind of like straight edged, and they're like, well, I've never done anything like that before. Like, what are some of the benefits that I can get for it? And it's interesting because like back in the 90s, there was a study that, you know, was when we realized like a lot about our endocannabinoid system and like how it affects like us neurologically. And, you know, if you come to think about it, like what if all this time, like, you know, people are sad, people have this personal unrest. What if it's a deficiency, you know, in these cannabinoids? You know, one of the things that lactating women like naturally produce like CBD, like their cannabinoid system when they're lactating. So that's just something that the body will naturally produce, but sometimes it doesn't. What if it's deficient? You know, what if it's not getting enough?
Yeah.
And so, you know, people are using it for, you know, just overall wellness, like their muscles, their joint pain, you know, different things like that.
That's what I dive into it for. So I kind of lump it into one, and I know people like, oh, you're taking a magic pill, but maybe it's a placebo effect, maybe it's not. But I know since my joint disorder, and as I keep getting older, the pain has gotten insane, like so bad. Now, do I take my CBD every single day? No, I have it. Like I take it. Like if I start, like it's kind of like with my joint pain. If I'm having a real bad day, I'll take one of my capsules, and then if I wake up the next day and it's still kind of bad, I'll take another capsule, because I don't have the money to keep taking them every day. I take it when I think I need it. And I also have topographical creams as well, like a CBD oil, like a rub.
Tops are great.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
But when I brought it to work the one day, they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just putting some stuff on my knee or on my lower back or my hands, because I just go through these really things." And my like the one lady's like, "Well, what is it?" I'm like, "Oh," she goes, "I'm having a really bad like cramp in my hand, like my hand hurts." And she's like, "I usually put like what is it, icy hot or something on it." And I was like, "Do you want to try my stuff?" And she's like, "What is it?" I'm like, technically it's CBD now, but I had to be like, it's CBD, and they're like, well, you can't bring that to. I'm like, it's not what you think. And she tried it. First time you say try CBD, people are like, I don't want to get high. I need to pass a drug test.
Yes.
You're not going to fail a drug test with CBD.
Right. Well, actually, that's something really important to bring up, because you should make sure that if you are do have a job, that you get urinalysis.
Yeah.
So you have a factory job, you drive truck, things like that.
You don't have THC in it.
Yeah, it has to be no THC in it. And check out your companies.
Yeah.
Like, we are in a green rush right now, and it is the wild, wild west. You could have somebody getting sick because they're making it in their bathtub.
Yeah.
And we're seeing people getting sick from the vape. Like,
yeah.
All I'm trying to do for my job is make sure that people are checking the education and looking into their labels, and like just making sure that they are getting what they need.
Yeah.
You know?
So she put on her hand, and like literally minutes later, she's like, what was that stuff? She goes, it's completely gone.
Yeah.
And everyone was joking around, like now it's like if someone's in the office and like sitting in a desk too long, and they're like, oh, my knees bother me, my shoulders bother me. Tony, can I get some of your magic cream? That they all call it the magic cream, but it works for people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really good.
If you ever have like
a migraine,
head pains,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I put it from the temple across my forehead onto my other temple, and then sometimes I'll put it like right there at the base of my neck.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. My daughter, like because I have a kid who will not take like medicine. I couldn't give her a Tylenol, and I just used it's just a muscle rub, and it's just CBD and
yeah.
Yeah.
When I went there, I went to all these specialists, and they're like, "Well, your joint pain, we're gonna put you on, Vicodin and Oxy and all these different pain pills and stuff." And I was like, "I don't want that." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because I want to be just like everyone else. You're just pushing down your throats with this." Like, the 90s were crazy. 90s, 2000s were crazy because you had all those commercials where it's like, this is your brain on marijuana. Or like the girl sunk in the chair. She's like, that used to be Karen until she tried pot. You know what I mean? Like, and it just like, it scared the shit out of you to not do that. But then on the same token, I went to school every day and I was given a fluoride tablet. But if I didn't pay attention in school, you were trying to shove Ritalin down my throat.
Yeah.
Every single kid was like, it comes in a different wave every year. Like for a while it was everyone had ADHD.
Yeah.
Every single kid. So get everyone on Ritalin, and pharmaceutical companies made a shit ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, oh, now we have all these people who are going through this. Now we're pushing this drug and this drug and this drug, and now we're having crazy back pains and other pains because we're not taking care of our food and what you contact. Like it's a cyclone effect.
Absolutely.
And now these people are now going from pain pills then to hard drugs, heroin, and now there's an epidemic of that.
Absolutely.
And now some of these pharmaceutical companies are actually being charged for doing what they've been doing to people. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Well, if you watch even daytime TV, like, you know what I mean? It's like, ask your doctor about this, ask your doctor about this, ask your doctor about this. I mean, they're still pushing, like, and for me, like when I started like really kind of struggling and trying to find myself, like taking a pill was not an option for me. I have people that have, drug abuse and addiction problems in my family. Like, I know that it's a slippery slope.
100%.
And I didn't want to go that way. And I was like, I just was searching for another option. I actually, I started with like, I knew, I'm not going to lie. Like I knew what cannabis, I knew what marijuana was like, and when it wasn't, I'm grown up now. So it's not that's a part of my lifestyle.
It's funny when you try.
It's no longer a part of my lifestyle. But but when people started talking about CBD, I was like, well, wait a minute. Like I felt really good. Like 20 years ago, like maybe that would make me feel good now. And the CBD does, like it makes you be able to function on a different level, you know what I mean? Where you can actually function and it makes you feel better, but yeah.
Yeah. So they tried antidepressants with me. They tried anti-inflammatory pills. They've tried all this different stuff, and I didn't like the way it made me feel. Like I went to the doctor one time, and they're like, because my pain got to the point where it was causing, like, I already suffered from depression and possible, suicidal thoughts.
Pain,
you know what I mean?
Pain body, mental body, it's the same.
And when I went to the doctor, like, well, how bad's your pain? I'm like, I don't sleep. I still really have issues sleeping, but that's neither here nor there, but it comes down to like the fact where they're like, all right, we'll just try this. I'm like, what is it? Like, it's an anti-inflammatory. No, it's a depressant. You're giving me an antidepressant. Like, it helps with inflammatory too.
Yeah.
Are you sure? They're like, yeah. I was like, all right. So I took it, and I literally felt like I was high as shit. Like I felt like I was in a cloud, and like, oh, you have to keep taking it for a couple of weeks till it hits your system, then you'll feel normal. I took it for 2 days. I was like, I dumped them all out. I was like, I'm not taking that. They're like, why? They're like, well, we can't help you if you don't want to help. I'm like, because you're pushing stuff on me I don't feel it's good for me. Like, I know my body.
Right.
And then they're like, well, we're not dealing with you no more. Go to a specialist. So I went to a joint specialist, and the guy looked at me and goes, legally, I have to tell you everything those other doctors told you, and I'm gonna tell you that here's Percocet, here's Vicodin, here's this, here's that, here's antidepressants, I can give you this to help you sleep at night. He goes, but what I'm gonna tell you to try, he's like, do some research. Here's some things I have found. Go try CBD.
Yeah. And
I was like, what do you mean? He goes, try it, and I did. I think my depression is at an all-time low. I feel like a different human, and I like my joint pain, like I said, is reduced tremendously, which then turns around. I can actually focus to like maybe we're like, I'm not doing it yet, but like when I was on CBD, I'm like, I had more energy to be like, oh, I should work out today. Because if you lose weight, then obviously it's going to be less stress on your joints. There's a lot to it. But I didn't even want to do that before. You know what I mean? It's just, there's a lot to it, man.
I always call it the hole in the bucket. A lot of people don't know where to start. And like you said, and you know, we joked around about microdosing. We talked about CBD. But realistically, if you really want to start to feel better, you should probably start with your diet and your exercise. We all love a cheeseburger, okay? So if you want to...
Had Burger King today.
I know. I said cheeseburger because that's my
weakness.
That'll be my last meal. Like, if I can get that and
burgers and pizza.
If I can get that and a milkshake from Heisler's as my last meal, I'd be a happy dead girl. Exercise is really, really important. And then self-care, which is something that it's really interesting. It's something that we're really starting to learn a lot about. And I think this internet age that it's really still in its infancy. And it's not that the world is different. It's just everybody's exposed now. And so
people get feared by the internet, though. They think like our world, like, I'm not letting my kid out of the house because there's 3 million kidnappers out there now. I'm like, I think the kidnapper rate's probably lower now than it was 30 years ago when we were kids. But because the internet scares the shit out of you, you don't want to let your kid out of the house.
That's why I really back to that. I don't even go, like I said, that fear-based media. I just can't. But I don't recall what we were saying before.
About the self-care.
Self-care
and the internet.
And so we're learning a lot about self-care and mental health, and really trying to it's not selfish. It's not selfish to take a step back. It's not selfish to really kind of do some intrinsic work in order to find out how you can, help. How you can't fill from an empty glass. And in order to be able to help others, you need to, really work on yourself.
Absolutely. And the cool thing about hemp as well is not even just as a scary drug that's going to alter your mind and make you a terrible person, like you're being told. Hemp can replace so much stuff in the textile industry. Hemp paper, literally we can save plastic. So we can save trees, fuel. Like hemp and it grows so fast.
It does.
It's insane. And literally we can save forests and rainforests and trees and re-oxygenize our planet. And replace paper with hemp and plastic with hemp, and we would make a huge deficit when it comes to just recyclables. Landfills are destroyed with plastic bottles and stuff like that, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Like it not only from a mental health aspect, but just an environmental thing.
Absolutely.
Hemp is really, really cool stuff, man.
It grows super fast. I think within 3 to 6 months they can.
It completely biodegrades.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So any other? Here's a question we were kind of talking about off camera. Like, how did you come about finding our channel and our setup here?
Because we kind of run in the same circles. Interestingly enough, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. I think I probably talked about that and stuff. And so I saw that. You were doing stuff with that culture, which I thought was really amazing.
We'll be going back there soon.
Absolutely.
Now that I have microphones that can handle the room they put us in with the live music, it was really difficult to get a good recording because it was a very loud environment.
Right.
But now that we have this new setup, we're going to be going back. We're doing more stuff. I'm going to be back to going there once a month. Yeah. So. Culture to Culture, for those who don't know, it's a thing in Pottsville. It's right across. It's the old factory right across from the Crimson House. You can literally use the parking lot where the Crimson House is, and you walk across that little alley. It's right there. Every week they have a different topic, and it's just like people go there and talk about what's on their mind, how they can get help. If you're struggling from depression, suicide, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, you can go there and get your help. And there's certified peer specialists there that can help you. And it's an all around good place to go in there and just listen loosen the conversation and enlighten you. Even if something that you're not struggling with yourself, like I don't struggle with, heroin addiction,
Right.
but going in there and listening to people who have and listening to some of the stories and what they go through, it opens your mind on different topics, and it's really insightful.
Right. I mean, I don't, and it's interesting because I brought it up, but I've never been there.
It's awesome.
I've never been there, but I may have like caught some of the lives, that's not my lifestyle either, but I really do have an open heart for, a lot of people that are struggling. Our area right now is really, a lot of times people are like, oh, they say a lot of things about the skook and, a lot of negative things. And if we focus on those things as negative, then that's all they're going to be. But if we shine the light on people that are doing good things,
It's so
it's
non-judgment
really important.
too.
Yeah, I think it's important.
It's crazy how we came about to, Kendra said, hey, there's this coffee place open where people can go and have conversation. And she goes, it seems like it's really similar to what you're trying to do with your interview thing. And I just kind of brushed it off. And then I looked at it again and I was like, all right. And I made like a live post. I said, I haven't been here yet, but you guys should definitely go check this place out. I'm actually going to go myself this Friday and go see what it's all about. And I went there and I just sat in the crowd for a while. And when I came in, they all kind of looked at me. And I was like, all right. And I think I was wearing my Interviews with Everyday People hoodie, but at the time I was like, no one, who knows who I am? At the time, there was like 200 Facebook likes. It was all my family. No one knew what I was. So I walk in and they're like, everyone's kind of giving me like, who's this guy type, but not in a negative way. It was just like they were aware who I was, I think. And then the very end, Pastor Vinny was like, does anyone else want to come up and share anything? And I just went, yeah. And I just said, hey man, this is my first time here. I just really want to say I think this is a really cool environment. I think it's really good that you people are all here on a Friday night supporting each other, and this is a very non-judgment free area. And I kind of gave my insight a little bit on the topic of what I thought. And then I said, thank you guys so much for letting me come up here. And I went to walk away. And right before I got off stage, Vinny goes, wait 1 second. Anthony, if you wouldn't mind, do you know what the definition of humble is? And I went, I do. And he goes, would you consider yourself a humble person? I said, I'd like to hope so. And he goes, not many people, no one else in this room except maybe a handful of people know exactly who you are and what you're like. You have your own little thing going on. I said, yeah. And he goes, and you came up on this microphone, and I'm going to tell you right now, we all looked at you like you're going to go up there and plug your thing. You didn't say a word. You participated in what we're about, and you came and did your, like, you were a part of it. You supported it. And he's like, now I would like you to tell people what your thing is, and I want you to share your message.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
I went, are you sure? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that wasn't even my intention. They're like, no, we know that. So I said, I do this podcast, Interviews with Everyday People. And ever since that day, we just had this really good relationship because we're both have the same mission of making our area a positive place and giving people that need help somewhere to go. Like, I can't personally, listen, if you want to come and talk, we can talk all day long. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say, if this is what you really need, here's where you should go to go get help.
Yeah.
And me going to culture is not making me an expert. I would never take on the responsibility of trying to help somebody mentally or with addiction or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's giving me the education of saying, oh, you're going through this? You should go here, and here, or go to these locations and definitely get the help you need. If me being a part of that and doing what I'm doing can make people open up more to me to say, hey, I need help, I would 100% save a life and do that.
Yeah.
Because we've lost so many people. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh,
like,
yeah.
I hate logging on social media and losing somebody else I went to school with, or a really good friend, or someone who I was just hanging out with at a band or I say a bar, but I think that's a terrible way to say it because not everyone that goes to a bar to see a band is going to drink. But at a local show, you know what I mean? They just happen to be in a bar.
Yeah, well,
that's all we have.
It's interesting because there is a lot of people that don't drink anymore. Like, I mean, you do have like those DDs, and you do have
which are great to have.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of people like in recovery or people that just choose not to.
Yeah.
Drink
Just because
alcohol.
you see someone in a bar doesn't mean they're always drunk.
Yeah, no.
I might walk in and I'm a one or two beer guy. I don't even like getting drunk. I have 1 or 2 beers, maybe because back in the day I did use this for some pain medication at one point in time, but I learned that's not a good thing. But I do enjoy
It's a cycle, vicious cycle.
So I do enjoy the taste of beer. So I'll have like 1 or 2, and then I just call it a night. I don't get buzzed. I don't like that. Just not 1 or 2 a night. But when I go out to a bar, I'll have like 1 or 2, and then I stop, and then I hang out. Like, because I don't even like getting hammered and being like, oh, I don't even remember how that show was. Like, I paid money to go see a band. I want to remember it. You know.
Yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of blurry.
I've had tons of them, but
it's really interesting because and as as I don't really drink as much as
Mm-hmm.
I get older, and that's why I really like bartending, because I still get to enjoy the environment, but
It's a cool social
it's a great social environment. It is. It's really, really awesome. You know what I mean? It's busy, and you're talking to people, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm happy doing it.
Have you tried the hemp beer yet?
Okay, so I don't really drink beer.
sorry.
That's okay.
Try to crack my knee.
That's okay. I don't really do beer so much anymore. Beer just doesn't agree with me.
Yeah.
Now once in a while, like if we have something, the carbonation, like I don't like feeling gassy. Like I don't like the beer burps, like personally. But we get like that one time we had this nitro left-handed like flamingo. It was like this like
the nitro the strawberry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been waiting until we get that back in because
It's usually expensive too.
I don't know if I could drop the prices, but they're usually not too bad.
Yeah.
I
They
mean,
can be up there because nitros are a little more expensive.
Well, craft beers tend to be.
There's a brand called Hemp Tails. We've actually had on our show. And
We had Jazz Cabbage this past week, and you opened up the can and it
smelled
was
like weed.
so skunky.
Yeah.
I'm like, enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome.
the Hemp Tails that I get at the cake stand in Monte City. You open it, it smells like you just sparked up a joint.
Right.
But it tastes so there's three different. There's the hemp tea, there's a citrus one, and then I think there's a passion fruit one. The passion fruit one tastes exactly like a passion fruit ginger. They all taste like ginger ale. It tastes more like you're drinking a soda than a beer, and it tastes so good.
Yeah.
And it's a different type of buzz.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not too beery,
it tastes like soda.
Yeah, but I'm not usually a big fan of the IPAs. Like I like to try to taste the profile of it.
Yeah.
But I've always been really good at we have people that come in that will specifically just start crossing them off the board. And so a lot of times I'll just kind of hey, what do you think of that? And then I'll just kind of, take their profile, and then I use them for a good reference because they change so often.
We should do a Bangin' Beers there.
We should definitely do a Bangin' Beers there.
Do a Bangin' Beers at
on
Hucklebucks.
on location.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That'd be
could do
fun.
that.
A lot of the breweries too were telling me they're we want to start getting in other territories because not everyone wants to go to a brewery, so they do these things called tap takeovers where they can set up a tap system on location.
Yeah.
They just need. I don't know the logistics to it. I guess the bar would have to pay them a little bit. They would have to buy the beer off the brewery.
We've had Trogs take over. We've had I don't know, probably miss a ton, but I think we had Victory take over.
So if we get to the point where breweries are liking our stuff, we can even probably do some stuff where I can probably bring more breweries to the Hucklebucks or possible locations.
Yeah, that'd be
and
amazing.
do tap takeovers, and that would work with me too because then I can interview the brewery while they're at your location.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That'd be awesome. Really fun. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So anything else you so when you said about listening to the show, what are some of the interviews that you liked so far?
Oh yeah. The first one I saw was when you were on Culture to Culture. You did kind of a little thing there, but then Timmy Mangle. I
love Timmy.
Oh my God, I love Timmy.
He's been a regular now. He was on Not Cool in high school.
I saw him on his personal, and then I just saw the one that he did recently
with his mom.
Marge. Is it Marge? Right?
Marge, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I got my cards read.
I love it. I definitely got to get out to the barn.
It's beautiful.
Oh my God, I want to get out there.
The Mermaid Retreat.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Mermaid Retreat.
Oh my God, when she was reading, if you want to get a really cool episode, that's definitely the one to do.
You got scared when she was reading your cards. You got.
And she's
a little
like,
nervous.
I see a baby. I was like, you better be reading somebody else's cards.
That's a scary thought. But you know what?
Fun fact: we are coming up on my fourth week since that episode, and according to my cards, something is going to happen for me in this next week. So just putting that out there. I don't know.
Are you telling us something?
I don't know. Not a baby. Not a baby.
Oh, okay.
But she said something like successful, like something. I guess what I'm doing here or something in that realm.
Nice.
She said I see something in 4 weeks, and then she said I see something bigger in 2 years. Like I see a new house. I see,
what
microphones.
About your new mic?
Maybe it's microphones.
Maybe it's your mic.
Yeah, maybe it's the mics. Well, these aren't the new
That's
ones
pretty
yet.
big.
These are the old crappy ones. But we're getting two more of these soon. I was supposed to actually sell a gun today, but I didn't get in contact with the person I was going to buy it. I'm selling. I have a pistol I don't use.
You know what? I'm actually. It's good to purge things you don't need. It's important that you get rid of the things that you no longer serve you.
I've owned it for 4 years. I've never shot it once. I don't want to get really dark, but it was like my in case emergency break glass type thing because I did suffer from some things and had some terrible thoughts. So that's the main reason why I owned it. Like I'm laughing because I have a weird sense of humor with it, but I just don't need it. I'm not at that point where I need to have it for protection because if someone breaks in. My dog's really loud, and I'll just charge you. You'll shoot me 4 times, but I'll get to you.
Hit him low.
Yeah.
Hit him low.
Even if I had a gun, I'm not gonna know what to do with it. Every time I ever shot a gun, I blink every single time. I'm a terrible shot.
Yeah.
So it just I don't know. I don't need it, and it's just something that it's something I don't need in the house anymore. It's something that I don't need that in case of emergency break glass thing because I'm beyond that point. I haven't had a something like that in a very long time, but it's brand new. I never used it, and it's worth some money. So, and I need podcast equipment. So,
hey, do what you got to do. You got to move out with the old and in with
100%. And it's good. It's kind of like a passing of the torch thing. It was there for its reason, even though it's not a great reason. But it's like I kind of put myself to a test. Like I've always had the cyanide pill there. And never took it. It sounds really morbid and gross, but I'm just being honest. I'm an upfront person. But yeah, so we're getting rid of it. But go me, right?
Go you.
I don't know how to bounce back from that. I'm sorry. Sometimes my honesty is it's strange. I'm a weird person.
That's okay. I tend to bring out the awkward in people sometimes. I mean, that's just the thing. I think with everybody backwards. You know what I mean?
And then you contacted us about doing an interview, and then Steve contacted us about coming on Not Cool in High School.
Not Cool in High School, yeah.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I love it.
I was just kind of behind the scenes,
He seemed like he really he looks forward to it every week too.
He does.
Our group chat. Yeah.
Well, it was interesting because last week would have been so he alternates, so it would have been his work day and the same night as the podcast, and the same thing. So he just kind of has to come home, get a shower and be right back out the door to come up here. And he sent me a message at lunchtime earlier that day, and he was like, I don't want to go tonight. I'm tired and whatever. And I'm like, you just don't want to go to work tomorrow because you're going to be tired tomorrow. I was like, but you really want to podcast then? And he's like, you're right. And I'm like, and that's really the hard thing, to keep each other motivated to do stuff. It's important to focus on the things that you like to do. Yep. Because it makes the things that you have to do
seem more tolerable.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. So with my depression, I was always an athlete, and then the joint disorder stopped that completely. You can't be as physical as you were. And that's all I knew. All I knew was playing sports. All I knew was going my stress relief was going into basketball and not coming back home till 4 a.m. exhausted, sweaty, gross, get a shower and go to bed, and I felt amazing the next day. That went away when joint pain came, but so this podcast for me has become that. And then there's days where I'll be sitting in bed and I have my little bit of depression kicks in where I'm just laying in bed and I'm I don't want to go to work today. I just want to lay in bed. I want to sleep all day long, and I don't want to talk to nobody. And then I'm sitting there and I'm but if I don't go to work, I kind of treat work like school. If I don't go to work, I can't podcast because, remember when you had that rule when you were a kid? If you didn't go to school, you couldn't go outside and play with your friends.
Right.
So in my brain, that's how I process it. If I don't go to work, I'm not podcasting.
Right.
So then I'm but then I have to tell everyone there's no show tonight, and then I feel really bad because they're all looking forward to it. So then I come, and then by the time they show up, I'm oh, this is why I want to do it. This is fun. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Sometimes you need to keep yourself accountable through other people.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't not do it because Ben would hate it because he loves coming and talking and meeting people. It has become a social thing. We look forward to seeing each other and talking to each other and be oh my god, I've been playing this game. That's exactly what I wanted to bring to the table. When you meet with your buddies, to me it reminds me of sitting at the lunchroom in school and you're like, yo, you want to, and we'd have snacks, like we'd trade snacks and like, it's all those like that stupid kid stuff.
It
but
is
like
such a dude thing
Yeah.
to be like, hey, what are you playing?
Yeah.
Like, or what are you listening to right now?
Yeah, it's so much fun, man. I hope people like, it seems like that show does really well. People listen to it. I wish people were more like interactive though, like commenting on episodes. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to gauge what people like and don't like, but it's getting there. It's growing.
Well, until, it takes, like you said, it takes a little bit of time even to get, people kind of dialed in.
Yeah.
Before they even know what's kind of happening.
We've changed the structure like 14 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're at a good spot now. I like the topics every week.
Yeah. Topics is good. I mean, that way it kind of keeps
our
yourself
next
focused.
topic. We're off next week, so we have no show. Sorry, I keep getting the burps. I think it's the Burger King with the beer not doing well. But then next week, Andy's doing Elvira. I'm really excited about that. I love Elvira.
Elvira is, I mean, she's still alive.
Yeah.
And she like still
She looks amazing.
fantastic. Yeah.
There's 2 women on the planet that are up there in age that are like, I look at them like, Jesus Christ, you're still amazing looking. That's Joan Jett and
Oh, yeah.
Elvira. They both look phenomenal for their age.
Yeah.
And Andy's like obsessed with Elvira.
I mean, what
Yeah.
what a great time of year to do it. Like
Yeah, like a
October,
Halloween, yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely. She's the queen.
The Queen of Darkness.
Queen of Darkness.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, she's fun. We have a sticker of her somewhere over there too.
Yeah, I've actually been looking at this
The butt.
with the mushroom up.
So the
with
reason that
the-
butt's there, I did have a bunch of stickers that were very, very perverted. And I put them down first for a base. Like you can kind of see some of them poke through. But for the most part, they're mostly covered. And we have a whole thing,
Oh my goodness.
extra stickers that we didn't use yet. But they're like replacement stickers, or like, I don't know, if a guest comes, they can have 1 or 2 if they want.
Oh, I'll take that V. No.
The what one?
V for Vendetta.
Oh, you can have that one.
That's a great.
There's a whole bunch of V for Vendettas in there. But so Andy was going through looking at superhero ones, and he's seen this butt one. And where you're sitting is where always Ben sits, and Ben's our butt guy. Like he likes himself some butts. I mean, I think everyone likes butts, but Ben's more open about how much he likes butts. So Andy put the butt where Ben sits.
Well, if it keeps them happy, that's cool.
Yeah, there used to be like the Velma booby ones there up there, where it's like Velma taking her shirt off. Yeah, there's like this one's like a skeleton performing oral on another skeleton. Like there's a lot of weird ones everywhere.
It's cool.
If there's kids listening, I'm sorry, but you know the deal. This is episode 30. But yeah, we have Pokemon ones. There's a lot of cool stuff everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. This is. I mean, it definitely gives you something.
The new ones are the Office ones. We just put some new Office ones on. So this one's like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, and then my wife loves the teapot. So she actually has that tattooed on her.
Oh,
but it's the
nice.
Finer Things Club. And then Pam and Jim, Prison Mike. A lot of cool ones here.
I never got into The Office.
I love it.
It's really weird. I probably watch a lot. We watch a lot of like. I've never seen I've only seen like 5 episodes of Rick and Morty, and I know that like that makes people's like heads spin because I should love it because I'm a very, very big fan of Futurama. And I think because so much so that like I love Futurama. Like I could sit there and watch like the Leela Fry saga forever along with like Bender's like cocky attitude that I don't know. I never really got into the Rick and Morty. Like the humor. I really need to like really delve in because the humor
I love
think
it.
kind
I
of
think it's
went
a great-
past me a little bit.
See, at least if it went past you, that's fine. But when I watched it, I was watching. I was like, do people get what they're watching? Like, then I start questioning people, like, why do you like Rick and Morty? And they're like, oh, because he drinks and he curses. And I'm like, oh, so you like it for the fart jokes?
Yeah.
And then they're like, no. And I was like, essentially, yeah, like when you like Family Guy, a lot of the jokes that are underlined meaning go over your head, and then you just latched on to the booby fart jokes.
Yeah.
And I was watching, I'm like, you realize like mostly Rick and Morty's about is opening your mind to like a different way of thinking about things. On top of it, you're watching a character who struggles with suicidal thoughts. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, Rick wants to kill himself, but he doesn't because he feels that he has a bigger purpose. Well, how do you know that? I'm like, because I'm someone who struggles with that. Like,
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? Like, and they're like, what do you mean? I'm like that's what this whole, and then as the show progressed, like when he made the joke, wubba lubba dub dub, and then the one guy's like, you know what that means to Morty? And he's like, no. And he goes, that literally means, it's a cry for help. Like, he means, I want help, I want to die. And he was saying it like, yeah, like just having fun. Like,
Right.
like he's the perfect example of he's super depressed. He hides it behind alcohol, and he can
Like the
literally
Robin Williams.
he could be having fun, making you laugh, making you think, but he's struggling internally with his own problems.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like I didn't invest enough into it to like really fully get it. I don't watch Well, I mean, I definitely have watched some Family Guy, and I'm not as big a fan as American Dad.
I don't like American Dad at all.
Oh.
I honestly stopped altogether with Family Guy.
Roger.
Bob's Burgers is really good.
Roger is like the ultimate potty joke. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Bob's Burgers is probably one of my favorite cartoons. Do you ever watch Big Mouth on Netflix?
No.
Oh
but
my God, watch
but it
it.
is
It's so
queued
funny.
Up. It is queued up. Yeah.
That one's pretty much about this kid who's going through puberty, and he has a hormone like him, and it's pretty much not just a kid, but this whole age group is going through puberty. So the first couple episodes you think is just about like the boy side of puberty, and then later on the girl gets her hormone, and you have this monster like the hormone monster, and they're helping them guide through puberty, and like
So Big Mouth is
it's
the
literally a
hormone
sex
monster.
education video.
That's pretty funny.
But it's like super funny and somewhat times raunchy. Like
Well,
why is this happening? Oh yeah, you're feeling it, aren't you? Like the horror monster has that real deep voice. Like, let's go in the bathroom and jerk off with that little tiny toilet paper. Like that's like, and they're like, all right, I gotta go. And then he like puts his he puts the shirt around his waist, like every boy in middle school had to do.
carries the book in front of him.
And then the girl experiences her first period on a field trip, and the day her mom made her wear white pants.
Oh. Have you seen? I think the show is called Penis or Pen 15.
Oh, Pen 15.
Pen 15.
Pen 15 Club is the best club to be in back in the day.
Oh my!
Do you want to be in the Pen
gosh.
15 Club? And you're like, what's that? Like, only the cool kids are. How do you get in? I gotta write it on your hand. And then
Oh
and they're
my
like,
God.
why does it say penis? You're like, you fell for it.
That show is like really hysterical. It reminds me a lot of that Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
It like really takes you down that like awkward life path.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. you
There's
know?
a company out right now called Pen 15, and they sell church candles. But the church candles are superimposed with the faces, so it's not like Jesus or Mary. It's like Queen or like Freddie Mercury or Ellen DeGeneres or hold on one sec, I'll show you something real fast. Quick moment of dead silence, real fast. They weren't very far, so I didn't have to travel very far for them. So these
You actually have them.
do you?
No, you have them. You're
Oh, I
like-
have them.
yeah.
Yes. So
Oh, yay!
I, as a joke, just put in like I wanted a Pen 15 shirt because I have a stupid shirt collection, and then I found these candles. They're probably hard to see on the camera, but it's the Golden Girls.
They are lovely.
I'm not very caught up on my religious of who's who, but I'm pretty sure she's Mary,
Yeah.
and I think that's supposed to be Jesus, which Betty White as Jesus is hilarious all on its own. But yeah, it's the Golden Girls. So they make these candles. I haven't even lit them, so
That is.
they don't really have a smell.
awesome.
But it's the Golden Girl candles, but it's by a company called Pen 15. I'm
Nice.
so fat. I'm out of breath just from literally going into the living room. Yeah, there's a little Golden Girl
Oh
candles.
my gosh. I mean, who doesn't love the Golden Girls?
Yeah, they make a whole bunch of them too. You can get like Freddie Mercury, David Bowie, like a whole bunch of different ones. It's really funny.
And it's just interesting that you're like, yeah, I need these in my life.
Well, what it was for Christmas this year, I've been terrible at Christmas and gift giving, and just like I get so many hints all year round, and then my wife's like, what did you get me? I'm like, oh fuck, now I messed up. So then this year,
Was this her?
this is her Christmas gift. Yes,
It's pretty good.
I got her this. She had I'm very all in on one thing. So like if she's into something in that moment and I have to get something for a gift, I just get like 14 things of the same style thing. So she had a very Golden Girls Christmas this year.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
so
kinda cool.
she got these candles. She got like a T-shirt with all the Golden Girls, and I think it said "Kicking It Old School"
Nice.
or something like that, or no, Squad Goals.
There you go.
It said Squad Goals and had all the Golden Girls on it. Then she likes to collect. They look like when you go to like a motel and you get that cheesy key, like the key with the little ring on it.
Yeah.
There's a company who makes them, and they make them like movies. Like we have one for Bates Motel.
Nice.
like Elm Street. Like you can get them for different horror movies. And the one company I found, it was their retirement home they live in. So, and then on the other side it says, "Thank you for being a friend."
Nice.
So I got her 2 of those because it came in a pack. And then she was coloring a lot at the time. So she's like had coloring books. So I found like 2 Golden Girls coloring books. And then she loves I Love Lucy. So she got an I Love Lucy dress.
I love Lucy.
Yeah. So that's such a good show.
Oh my God, it's brilliant. Really, really funny.
So at one time, Detroit's in that time area, right before I Love Lucy started, Detroit between like 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock had the worst crime rate in almost any city in America. And when I Love Lucy came on TV, for that one day, for those hours, crime rate was almost nothing when I Love Lucy came on TV.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is, but that's something I read. And it's on the internet. It has to be true.
That's what I hear. That's true.
Yeah, and then I think the last gift was like a Backstreet Boys shirt that she wore at the concert the other night. Yeah, we went to go see the Backstreet Boys. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I never hit that train.
No, never got it?
Yeah, no, I was not into the boy band. Well, I mean, like, yeah, no, I was never into
I was
boy
into the
band.
angry white boy music, I called it. Like System of a Down, Disturbed, Korn, Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of,
Rage Against the Machine.
I was probably like kind of there. Like my friends were like listening to like a lot of like punk rock at the time. Like we would listen to like.
Well, then the pop punk hit like Blink, and I was like, took off.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And then punk turned into emo, and I went to the emo phase.
Yeah, I definitely.
I didn't dress.
I rode that.
I didn't dress
emo
like the
wave
emo
a little
phase.
bit.
Like I made fun of the kids who dressed as emo, not made fun of, but I like, oh, that's weird. But in my head, I was like, and they're like, you don't listen to this? And I was like, no. And then I leave school, and I'm like, I fucking 100% listen to that. And like I get picked on enough. I'm not gonna add that to my resume.
Yeah, I mean, like I was like Hot Topic, like the Hot Topic clothes. You were like, sweet. Now we had Nirvana's Closet,
Yeah.
like. That was
You
amazing.
sneak in the back and look at all the naked stuff. You're like giggling, like, oh my god, they make penis gummies.
Oh my god, I miss the Frackville Mall. I miss the Schuylkill
I
Mall.
do. I cried when I left the last time.
Yeah, I mean, I worked up there probably like through high school, and then like after I went to school, then I started managing. I managed the Foot Locker up there for a couple years. Yeah,
I miss Foot Locker.
That was my gym. I worked at the Foot Locker like all through high school, and then
Basketball hoop in it.
yeah, no, not really, which is really kind of funny because I was never sporty type.
I just loved seeing it. It was just cool.
It was so
It had
cool.
like the where you checked out was like the paint. It was a basketball court.
Yeah, it was a basketball court. It was actually like the wood plank, like
free
little
throw line
area and
Yeah,
stuff.
it was
We had
great.
we had the dopest music like in the mall. Like it was pretty rad.
I missed. It was such a good place.
Well, it's shopping is like I wish we had a shopping center like locally. And we have the Fairlane Village, but there's a lot of empty storefronts, but it's nice to see that they did put,
We
they
had-
put new stuff in. That's great.
Yeah,
Like,
we used to have one of the
Dunham's is in there
original
now.
American Eagles at the mall at one point in time. Before they were like an upscale clothing
Yeah,
store where
yeah.
they sold camping equipment. Like it was clothing, but it was more like camping stuff and like outdoorsy clothes. And it was almost Timberland when it first started. Before it hit more trendy clothing, American Eagle was one of their first stores.
Well, right, and it was up by. I think it was up by where
Schuylkill Valley Sporting Goods moved into.
Yeah, I was gonna say like by where the
Because
Gap.
they moved, yeah,
Yeah,
right by Gap.
where the
Yep.
Gap was. Yeah, and it's interesting. Steve and I will like take like trips down memory lane. We'll be like, "Hey, do you remember like this store that was up here?"
Memory Lane.
Oh, do you remember Memory Lane? Memory Lane inside and outside.
Yeah.
I mean, Memory Lane was a big thing, and then we moved down to Pottsville. That was super cool.
Yeah.
That was super neat, and the fountains, everything that they had there, the Orange Julius.
I jumped in the fountain one time.
The Orange Julius. We had a great movie theater. We were talking about the arcades. That's what we were talking about the other day. So we were trying to figure out. We wanted to do something with the kids, but we didn't want to just. It's sometimes you go out and you're like totally breaking the bank on things. We're like, we want to kind of do something. We want to maybe go to an arcade. Okay, or you go down to like Reading, down to Ollie's. They have like. Down in Reading, they have like
The Works.
The Works. That's it.
Yeah.
But like until you get down there, and then you get the cars and something to eat, and I'm like, don't you just wish you could go to the Schuylkill Mall and go to the arcade, like $20 and quarter, $20, 10 for you, 10 for you. Like we go to town, like play some Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think they even had the Simpsons game up there.
Yeah. At one time they did the X-Men. The X-Men beat 'em up was up there. I actually worked at the movie theater.
Oh,
So
nice.
one of my first jobs ever was in the movie theater when it was Regal.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And then after Regal, I left there, and then I went to the factories, and then I helped out for a short time at FYE. So that FYE was always awesome. But yeah, the mall was so much fun. And then the movie theater then became like my second home when they put the new theater in. It was like every Friday night, me and my wife would go to the movie theater. We would eat, drink, go see a movie. And like the staff became our second family. Like the last day we were at the movie theater, we were there the whole day. Like when they did the customer appreciation, we had our own drink. Like
Yeah.
we had a Blackwell drink.
That's awesome.
And we would like the movie would come in. They're like, oh, like when Batman Superman came out or Justice League came out, like the people at the bar were like, Tony, you got to help us make the Batman drink because that's your drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was like, oh my god, that's all, like I loved that
What
place
did
to
you put
death.
in it? I'm kind of curious. I'm always looking for drink ideas.
It was pretty much a rum and coke for the most part, but instead of I told them to use Taboo because Captain Morgan Taboo had more of a berry flavored.
Yeah.
So essentially, it was a rum and coke with Taboo rum,
Yeah.
and then they put like a little garnish on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome.
That'd be kind of cool. Like, I was actually kind of thinking about that, something make it a little darker purple or something like that. Yeah.
There's a really cool like that tipsy bartender guy always makes fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I actually call myself a beer tender, not a bartender.
Oh, a beer tender?
I mean, a beer tender because for the most part,
Most people just get beers there,
most
or
people
more
do get beers.
beers, Moscow mules.
mules. Yeah. Nick is the crafter. Nick
Yeah.
really does craft up some really good drinks.
Yeah,
but,
I try to stay away from hard liquor. It's a bad night for me.
Yeah, me too. Well, I mean, it depends. I had this guy on Yingling's 190th, okay, and the place was, you can only imagine, the place was packed, like, all day. Like, I mean, we were, like, hustling. And this guy comes in, and he was, like, you know, really kind of on the verge of should he even be served again, but he, you know what I mean, he got a water. He drank a water, and then, you know, he's getting drinks, and he was like, so go over, and he's buying drinks for himself and for, like, these 5 ladies that he just met, and he's like, you know, can I get this, and this? I was like, okay. He's like, and can I have a Manhattan? And I look at him, and I'm like...
Does this look like a Manhattan bar to you?
Well, actually, it's really interesting because it is on our menu. Like,
Is it?
that's one of Nick's specialties is a Manhattan. But there was probably there was so many people.
He had
in
no
that,
time to make a
there
Manhattan.
was like you have to like stir it to like get the right kind of amount. I looked at them and I was like, listen, if it doesn't come out of a barrel or a bottle, like I'm not serving it. Like, come on. I was like,
We're packed.
I'm like, think of something else. So like, meanwhile, I'm like getting like 27 other drinks. I come back to him. I was like, what can I get you? He goes, where's my Manhattan? And I went into the cooler and I popped open a lager and I sat it in front of him and I said, here's a Pottsville. And I just kept on moving. You know, like, welcome to I mean, you're here for the 190. Like, you might as well.
The only thing that pissed me off about that 190th is I couldn't get a beer and go watch the band. You had to stay in the beer garden, which were so far away from every single stage, you couldn't enjoy the music and have a beer because you weren't allowed to leave with the beer.
Right.
But I can walk to a wine stand or a moonshine stand or a booze slushy and walk around downtown Pottsville with a booze slushy or a mixed drink, but I couldn't leave the beer garden with a beer.
Yeah.
I was like, that's ridiculous.
It was pretty chaos. I didn't really get to like check out a whole lot because like I had to go into work, but I did I kind of cruised through. I kind of saw some of the different stages that were set up. It's nice to see like, and it's people attempting to like really kind of bring things to town. And I think that
we had friends of ours gave us the VIP ticket, a VIP front row for Better Than Ezra.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm not staying for. Not that I didn't like Better Than Ezra, but I was kind of more disappointed that we paid all that money for Better Than Ezra when you have all this amazing talent that we have in our area.
Right.
Like Crowbot's literally about to put an album out, and you booked Better Than Ezra.
Well, I think that they wanted to probably.
And Ben and Ezra they did cover music the whole night anyway. They played their 3 hits and they did all covers.
Well, they wanted to hit a genre that is gonna be really family friendly. I mean, I like Robot too.
Yeah. But I was just like, oh, come on. That's just me, the support guy, the local guy. So I was leaving and I was like, I see.
Well, they did support local. I mean,
they had 3 Hooligan Boys Upstairs and
Hooligan
Tool Shed.
Yeah. There you go.
So I was like, and I just seen 2 people walking on the street. I was like, here, do you like Better Than Ezra? And they're like, yeah, we're heading our way. I'm like, here, enjoy front row. And they're like, what? And I was like, have a good time. And I just walked. Yeah,
share the love.
Yeah, and someone really enjoyed them. But it was really, really fun. It was a good day. Yeah. It was packed. Yeah, it was really, really packed.
The whole town was pretty busy. It was nice. And, we just had Potzel on tap last week.
Yeah, I didn't get I work Saturdays. It's hard for me to go all that fun stuff.
Yeah, usually like weekends I always say weekends are my jam. Like Mondays are my weekend. Like Monday, Tuesdays are more my weekend for me because Thursday through Sunday I'm, doing whatever. I mean, people are like, well, like you're just a mom. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, no. Like when you don't have a secured position, like when someone knows you're supposed to be somewhere 9 to 5, like when you don't have a secured position, you really get like roped into helping everyone do everything. Like, I used to help my grandmother like do all of her grocery shopping and things like that. My mother, she doesn't drive, so she needs to go to a doctor's appointment. Like, you really you take on a lot of roles. That's weird. It's an interesting transition. Like I said, when I kind of stripped down like everything about that was kind of part of it. Like I realized that I got really what happened is I kind of got to a moment where I felt really selfish, and then I was like, okay, well, you know what, I do need to do self-care, but I also, this is my task, this is my purpose, these people do need me, this is so this is important, this is equally as important.
And is there any other topics or anything you want to cover before we get out of here?
I don't know. They kind of went on a bunch of really strange tangents.
I love them though. They're my favorite.
I think kind of talked about some stuff, some really off-topic things.
What would be an interview or type of interview or something that you would like to see us do? While you're thinking, I have one that I want to do.
I think that you should really consider going and working with the elderly. I think that's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
That's really, really good.
Just learn history of the area. Like my thing is like, I had a history teacher, Mickey Holland, in Monte City, and he would teach us about World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, all these amazing, like these crazy things that happened during our history. But every time he would teach it, he would say, but the crazy thing is during that time in our area, this is what was happening. And this is how the world affected our area here. And it fascinated me.
What you should do is find an old shut-in around here, like somebody that has like all of their records and everything, and do like an on location so they could be like, here's my newspaper.
Like all those like legends, like, oh, did you hear that at one time Babe Ruth was here, or this guy was here, or like, I was like, yeah, like it'd be cool if someone was like at that event. And just every interview has to be super long. Like I can come and do something like there's really no structure. I just like, we just go as long as it takes, but that'd be really fun. But my dream, like I had 2 interviews I wanted to do, and I kind of got one. I wanted to do like a medium psychic type thing. I mean, I'm still open to anyone else that wants to do that again. If you know somebody, let me know. But I would love to do an on location interview in somewhere that is somewhat haunted. Like if it's like, if you think your house is haunted, and it's, let me know. You know what I mean? Like, or if you know a location, like, hey, this old building in Pottsville is haunted, like, I'll set up a spot, I'll come late at night and we'll do it. And, like, you could tell me the history of the building and why you think it's haunted, and we'll go from there. And then while we're doing it, if something crazy happens on camera, it's a win-win for all of us. Because I'll go viral, and then your business will be the haunted place, and it works for everybody.
There is, and I think that there is probably definitely some people local that do that. That do the whole ghost hunting. That's
I just think it'd be fun to conduct an interview and be like,
well, realistically, don't you want like the EMF, like the heat sensor?
I have to go buy all that. And I mean, unless I could find a ghost hunting group. If there's a local ghost hunting group that already has all that stuff, and you want me to interview you about your ghost hunting and also talk about how you got into ghost hunting and what you think about it, but then also do it in a location that's haunted, and then we could do like we'll film our own investigation. I'm 100% down to do that.
Now's the perfect time.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so hit me up. Let's do it. But yeah, I always put those stuff out there. Like I think they'd be fun interviews. But I'm always looking for new ideas or people.
Yeah, that's really, you kind of put me on the spot there, because I like coming up with stuff on the fly, but I don't know. That's a good one. And actually around here, you do have some really spooky looking places.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to talk about Gordon Mountain. Okay, Gordon Mountain used to have that whole ghost tale and the girl, and now it's like a distribution highway warehouse.
Well, the old road is still there.
Is it?
The old school, it's not drivable. You have to park your car and walk it.
Huh.
But it's still kind of spooky.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
You wouldn't do it? I did it in high school.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's not that I'm afraid to. It's just.
It's creepy.
Yeah, well, I don't. I don't want to be scared. It's really interesting because you don't. You think that you're like, oh, it's not even that scary. But once you get into it, and
then your head plays tricks on you.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does kind of play like a head game. Like my kids are playing that Bendy and the Ink Machine, okay, and I'm watching them play, and I'm like, this isn't even that scary.
Oh, he was telling me.
They're like screaming, and I'm like, it's not even that scary. And they're like, can you do this part for me? So I actually started playing them, and I'm like playing the game for maybe 5 minutes. And next thing you know, you really start to.
Hone in.
You have to hone in. You have the music. You have the visual. It's kind of motion. Next thing you know, the freaking thing is right behind me, and I'm like,
He was telling me there was a stage that you guys tried for hours and you couldn't get past it.
Oh yeah. So actually, we put that game up on the shelf because they refused to play it, and I was like,
it's too scary.
Yeah, they're like, they'll watch me play, but like I said, I tried for an hour, and I was like, all right.
I watched Ben play Resident Evil.
Mommy's done.
Yeah, the Resident Evil 7. I was like, that first person is too much. And I hate jump scares. They get me every time. And it's lazy way. I hate when horror movies do it. It's a lazy way to scare me. I like psychological scary.
Yeah.
Well, officially, it's going to be Halloween season when this episode comes out. And we were kind of talking off camera before, you're a big horror movie person. We can end on that, side little tangent. What are some of your favorite horror movies?
Oh, my goodness.
The
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh, yeah. I just did a Sig Haig drawing. It's on my Instagram.
The late great.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Rob Zombie, his whole film style. I thought that was pretty neat. So, House of a Thousand Corpses.
Did you ever see It Follows?
What's that?
It Follows.
The second one?
No, they've only made one so far.
Oh, It Follows?
Yeah. No. So It Follows, it starts off with it's this girl and meets this guy, and he's kind of from out of town, and they're dating, and then they kind of go up in this remote kissing booth lane area, and he tries to make a move, and she's like, okay, and start doing it, and then he starts getting a little he's trying to turn second, go third, possibly steal home, and she puts the brakes on. She's third base batting coach. They go back, and then he's like, "Oh, come on!" You think it's a typical high school situation, and he's like, and then he stops. He's like, "All right, I'm sorry," and she's like, "All right, cool," and then he just looks at her and goes, "I'm really," and he goes back to the trunk or something, and then he's like, "I'm really, really sorry," and then he chloroforms her, and then she comes in and out of it, and he's doing his thing, and then she completely passes out, and she wakes up clothed for the most part, and she's strapped to a wheelchair in this abandoned building, and he's like, listen, I didn't want to do what I did, I'm not cool with what I did, but I had to do it. And she's like, what do you mean? He goes, I can't, I'm gonna tell you the rules. He's like, something is following me. The only way I can get rid of it is by giving it to someone else, and the only way you can give it to somebody else is by having sex. It will literally
demonic.
It's like a demonic STD. So she sees this woman walking towards her in the woods, and it walks super slow, and it just dead stare, and it just walks at you, and it can change any form, shape. It could be someone you know, someone you don't know. So you could be in Times Square, and it could be that one thing walking toward, and once it touches you, you're dead. You die.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to the person that gave it to you. So he was like, you need to find someone and give it to them, and then tell them to give it to somebody else. And you need to put as much distance in between you and it as possible. And he goes, because I don't know if you give it to 15 people and those 15 people die, then it finally comes back and gets you. I don't know it's hunting me again.
Right.
So say if, and the way that, like, it doesn't really describe much, but like say if it's after you, or I give it to you, and you drive from here to California, it will walk from here to California,
Just
and no idea how long that takes. You know, and you know, what I mean, so you can literally put distance.
You called it a haunted STD. I cannot get over that. I'm sorry.
It's
I'm just
a
actually
creepy
sitting here laughing
movie,
at that.
but it's so good. I enjoyed it because it was something so different. Yeah,
I just realized this whole night that you didn't have me using.
Oh, don't
a
worry about
coaster.
it. No, these coasters
These stickers are priceless. Man.
they're good, but the problem is that sometimes your glass will stick to it, and then you'll pick up the whole coaster with it, and then it slams down, and it scares the shit out of everybody.
Gotcha.
Yeah, people are listening like, what the hell was that? But yeah, like that's really cool. We just when you were coming in, we just subscribed to Shudder. It's like it's like the Netflix of horror movies.
Yeah.
So that's what Heidi's doing upstairs right now. She's watching horror movies. That's her jam.
The movie when you talked about it though, kind of reminded me the movie that probably scared the crap out of me the most is The Hills Have Eyes. Talk about psychological, like kind of like trauma, like killing your family in front of you and rape and murder and killing and and they're already these inbred, like
they were nuclear test?
Yeah,
like they lived in a nuclear test area.
Like, lived in the mountains. Yeah, that was
a creepy one.
Disturbing.
That was a remake too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out too. Like it just came out, the 3 from Hell, which is the sequel to The Devil's Rejects, just came out. There's so much cool stuff. I'm super pumped. But a lot of local drive-ins are like gonna start doing their horror movie stuff. Like they're doing a whole week, like 2 weekends. It's gonna be every Freddy movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta love
Robert Englund.
Oh my god.
I even like the reboot. I just like the character Freddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, well then, anything else? Is there anything you want to plug or get out there?
No, I'm good. I mean, thanks for having me on this.
Thank you so much for coming back. And anytime you want to come back on and hang out, you can. And you can always come on Not Cool in High School.
I definitely was that.
Yeah. But yeah, you could check out the interview. All the links below. You can everything you want to, like your businesses or anything.
If you want, you can check me out on Facebook. Find out more about what I'm doing. I'm heading to Vegas on Wednesday. I'm pretty excited about
Vegas is so much fun.
I know. I was out a couple years ago for a friend's wedding, but this time I'm going out all business, and I'm pretty pumped.
Nice. Yeah, we went for Vegas last year or 2 years ago. I would live out there if I could. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weather has been really weird there right now because it's between it's 50. Like low 50.
We got there, it was kind of chilly.
Like high 87. So like you got that desert weather, and it's I'm used to being like having all the seasons, but not in one day.
We went there, and people were like, "Oh my god, you came at the worst time." I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "It's so cold." And I was like, and we went out there, and like nobody was in the pool,
right?
And it was 73 degrees,
right?
And they're like walking around in jackets and stuff, and I was like, I walk around in shorts, like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's going to be 60 tonight. I was like, yeah. And they're like, you're wearing shorts. I was like, once the snow starts melting and it's 60 degrees in Pennsylvania, everyone's like, bust out the swimsuits.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely. Especially you see that a lot more in the spring because people get like super excited. Yeah, Pennsylvania weather is amazing.
And it was like a really cool, it was beautiful. I loved it. I thought it was great. With hot, it was hot, but it was like a different type of hot.
Yeah, it's like a drier heat.
Yeah.
You don't have that same like.
It rained, and I was like, I don't even care that I'm getting rained on. It was like a refreshing rain. It was nice. It was really cool. I loved it. We're not gamblers. We just went and did all like the museums and stuff. Mm-hmm. If you're really into like history, like mob museum, like Italian mob history, on the old, like I loved the old Fremont Street, the old Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
That's my jam. Like you can walk down the street and see one of the most beautiful women you've ever, or men. I mean, because there's like dudes with their t-shirts off and like look like they're Greek gods, and women who look like they come from factories who are built like Jessica Rabbit, and then 6 more people down, you could see a 700-pound woman in a diaper with pasties on her boobs dancing,
We like
and everyone goes to that woman.
when we were there last year, like they give out the cards, like
Yeah.
the prostitution like playing cards, and we would like play,
I didn't see one of those yet.
play like Old Maid.
Yeah.
You know, like
I think they really cut down on those. Like
well,
we were there, and
but
maybe because I was
there's
walking
a
with my
lot-
wife.
There's a lot of littering. I don't know.
I
But
maybe
yeah.
even like strip clubs. Everyone's like, you will walk down the strip, and everyone's going to hand you a strip club card. I don't know if it's because me and my wife were walking together. We didn't get one strip club card. We didn't get one prostitution. I was bummed.
Yeah, you're like, what's this?
Like,
all
why
about?
can't I get a prostitute with my wife? Like,
right. I
did she
mean,
scare them away? I don't know. Yeah, I was like, you need to get away from me. I want to at least get one card. The only thing we got the whole time.
well, you know, like Heidi's kind of hot. They're
Yeah.
probably like, you know, this guy doesn't need a prostitute.
That's
Like,
probably what it was.
she's-
But I was bummed. I wanted to at least get one to see what it was like. We didn't do any strip clubs, which I was really disappointed in. We just didn't need to because we were doing all the sightseeing.
Right.
Did
Did you take the damn tour?
No.
You didn't do the damn tour?
Yeah, I didn't care about that. That and the Grand Canyon. I was like, I'm like, I don't care. I wanted to stay in Vegas. I wanted to drink. I wanted to see bands. I wanted to immerse myself in that aspect.
Not the whole nature of
Nope.
the.
No nature.
Whoa.
We flew our plane over the Grand Canyon. I was like, that's cool. It's a huge hole in the ground. I'm good. And then we flew like coming into Vegas. They turned the corner. I'm like, there's the dam. She's like, wow, my God, it's huge. I'm like, that's as close as we're getting. She's like, why?
You could like be on 4 points, like 4
Yeah,
different
I
states.
care less about that.
No?
That's not for me. Maybe next time. But like this time we went out, like we did the Mob Museum. Phenomenal. We did the only thing we didn't do. I was bummed is the old lights graveyard where it's all the old neon lights from the buildings.
Oh, okay.
It's all in like one location. Like
Ooh.
they call it the neon light graveyard. We didn't get to do that, but we did the Titanic tour in the Luxor. That's the pyramid one, right?
Yeah.
They have a walkthrough and they have the biggest piece of artifact or biggest piece of ship ever recovered from the Titanic. And then as you get on this exhibit, they give you a card. And then at the very end, you go through a list and see if if you made it or not.
Oh, that's kind
But
of
as you're
cool.
walking through, like they did complete reenactments of like the staircase, like Leonardo DiCaprio and them meet at.
Yeah.
Like they did a complete reenactment of the staircase, like what it would be like to be like go to your room, like a first class room, second class room, walking the deck of the ship, and you're walking through it feeling like you're in the Titanic.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then we did there's a Kiss mini golf we did, and then there's a Twilight Zone mini golf we did. That was so much fun. Like we went to Vegas and played mini golf, and then we did like a timeshare meeting. So we got free tickets, and we went to go see a Beatles show. That
Nice.
was awesome. It was a free show.
Love? Was it Love?
No, it was just like reenactment. It wasn't the Cirque du Soleil one. It was just
Gotcha.
4 dudes who did. It was a Beatles cover
Oh,
band.
gotcha.
Yeah. And then we did this one was weird. It was called Bodies. It was crazy. So it was literally dead bodies. And they were all unclaimed bodies from Asia. And like you would walk in and there's just like a dead body right in front of you. And you're like, holy shit. Like as soon as you walk in, it just like punches you in the face. Like every single thing you're going to see is just dead bodies.
Huh.
And they're going to do really weird stuff with those dead bodies.
That's interesting. I mean, not in a non-scientific way, in an artistic way.
I try to look at it in every aspect, but then I would be like, this is legit. So it felt like I was walking through a serial killer's collection room.
That's kind of bizarre.
Heidi loved it.
we
She was
saw
all
this-
about it. It
We
was
saw
so
this
weird.
thing down in Harrisburg. They had something, the movement of the body or the whatever of the body. But anyway, it was like there was the body. It was like different breakdowns. Like one was like just your cardiovascular system.
Yeah, that's exactly what
like,
this had.
And then it was just like glowing. So it was just the cardiovascular system. Like
Was it
and
real
then
people's cardio?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
real. It was real bodies.
Yes.
Yeah. We saw it down in Harrisburg a couple years. It was like this,
It might have been like one of the same things.
Yeah. When
Would
they
they take a body and cut it in half?
yes. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Yes, and then like also there was like a person like running in motion, and so they had the fillets of their like calf muscles like peeled back, so you could see the different layers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I saw that.
It-
The way that you made it describe, it sounded like there was like actual, just like kind of like weird carcasses. No, it was very.
They were positioned
scientific
like she was
art.
hitting a racquetball.
Yeah.
And then like the one part of the body would look like they put it through a bologna slicer.
Yeah.
And it was like the body cut into like 1,000 pieces. It was a body standing there, but
Yeah.
sliced in different layers, like it was a prime rib.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really interesting. I saw that.
Then the
before.
skin room, like it was literally someone, they just took a body and just like cut the skin off and then hung it on like a clothes hanger. And I was like, oh my God. Like it was so strange.
Am I weird?
Heidi loved
That's
it.
weird.
And then it was like they showed like
It's
body parts that had
interesting.
like it was like riddled with cancer, like a healthy lung, and then a lung like what's from a smoker, and then a lung from like that had cancer,
Yeah.
and then there was like there was a whole baby section.
Yes.
Yes, I saw that. That
It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
I left and I was like, I'm good. And she's like, well, I'm like, that was really like, you normally are like super like, oh, that was awesome, but I like it was really interesting. It was super scientific.
Yeah.
But like, it was just strange to be in a room and you're like surrounded by like 13 legit dead bodies.
There's probably more than 13.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying one area. Like you would look around a room and there was like just bodies. Like the one body was cut in half and he was shaking hands with the other side of his body. And they weren't even behind cases.
Yeah.
Like you can walk, like you're not allowed to touch them, but if you
Right.
really wanted to, you can go touch a dead body.
Yeah, and I see. I look at that and I'm always like, what are they using to preserve that? Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's what I was thinking
weird.
too. And then I was like, at the very end, I'm like, where the fuck did you get all these Asian people?
Yeah.
And they're like, literally in China, like in these Asian countries, they just find them on the sidewalk, and no one claims them. Like, or they die and they don't have medical bills, so they just donate their bodies to science. Or like, there's like they said the rate of bodies they just find in these countries is insane. Like, and they don't even research. They don't look into it. They don't do anything. They're just like, oh, here's a body laying on the ground. So this people, they literally go there and say, well, let's take this body and research it for science. And they do exactly what this museum is doing. Like cut them up and search and like, oh my God, this guy he had prostate cancer. And then like, well, let's preserve it and let's take his prostate
Let's put it
cancer
on display.
and take it to Las Vegas so Americans can look at this guy's butthole. Like, and that's what we were doing. Like,
Yeah. I mean, America.
yeah. They're like, it was just a weird, I don't know. And she's like, are you hungry? I was like, no, I'm not hungry. I just stared at a dead baby. Yeah, like like a dead baby from every moment of its life pregnancy cycle. Like, here's a dead baby at 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. This is a 9-month-old dead baby in a jar. I was like, I can't. I gotta
Well,
reset.
I guess that's interesting. I guess some people really just and I guess it's something I take for granted, but some people just don't like to see death.
It wasn't like I didn't like to see it. It was so strange. Like you were walking through, and the whole time, I had to keep reminding myself, like, this is not like a fake thing. Like this is real.
It's not wax.
Yeah,
right.
this is real people. Like we did the wax museum, and then we did that, and I was like, this is legit people. Like, and then in my brain, like, yo, like what would this person go through? And like they were unclaimed. Like they just died, and no one cared.
Well, if you think about it, and this is first of all, that's just the shell of their like
they're
this
gone.
is an
They're
earthly
way
body.
gone.
That's their shell. But in reality, if nobody cared about them well enough when they died, then aren't their bodies really getting reverence now?
Yeah.
When people are coming to
Yeah.
observe it, and it really got put to a use where like
Some guy named Kim is sitting in Vegas with his whole bits and junk hanging out,
I know it is.
and he's shooting a basketball. And he probably never played basketball his whole life. And now his wiener is on display.
On display, and they filleted off his calf muscle just so you could see exactly how the muscle.
It was just it was a weird. And then we went to the one, and literally the Vegas. It was 2 exhibits in Vegas. There was one in the Flamingo, and then there was one in the Luxor. And then we were paying our ticket to see the one, like the Titanic, and they're like, well, you can do a twofer and go to the bodies exhibit. I'm like, no fucking thank you. We just seen your exhibit in the other hotel. And they're like, oh, this one's better. I was like, how? Like, describe to me how it's better. Do you have more bodies? And they're like, we have more bodies, and there's more crazy stuff they did with them. I'm like, I'm good. I've seen enough today.
Yeah. Going to see shows, I mean, is super fun. Oddities are fun.
Like the Ripley's Believe It or Not, I want to do that in New York or something.
Yeah.
Like sideshow freak show stuff like that is awesome to me.
It's that the whole like kitschy or whatever, but yeah.
Here's a 6-headed chicken.
I have my schedule pretty packed. We're gonna be doing like we're getting a stretch limo, whatever.
Oh, yeah?
The Hummer.
Nice.
On Saturday, like I have a group of us, and we're gonna go just kind of like do like the driving tour for like 2 hours, just kind of like check out different stuff. Which last time I went, like it was mainly like we did stuff on foot. We did the dam tour.
We walked the whole Vegas Strip.
Yeah, so
our feet were killing us.
It'll be interesting to just kind of cruise around. So we're gonna do that one day or whatever. But I'm actually like I'm really pumped to go there and learn. Like you talked about before, like The Secret. One of our speakers is Bob Proctor from The Secret, and I am like beyond like pumped to listen to
my
him
book.
speak.
You can get signed. You can have it.
So yeah, it's pretty fun. So
Yeah.
but like I said, I'm going all business. I'm going to learn.
That's what we did. We just did exhibits. If you're into that, then do it. But if not, don't. But the Mob Museum was so fucking awesome.
Yeah,
it was so
all
awesome.
I really want is a strip burger and and Starbucks. And
Have you ever eaten Wahlburgers?
Yeah,
The one in Vegas we did. It was awesome food.
Oh, like I said, I'm gonna be my last meal.
Yeah. Wahlburgers was phenomenal.
They'll be like, "Hey, we're gonna go out to dinner tonight at this really nice place." I'm like, "Can I just get a burger?"
Yeah, there was a burger place in our hotel in the Rio that was really good too. It was like a fast food type thing, but it was so delicious. It was right next to the Chippendales. It was like a Chippendales and then a burger place. And
I went to see the Thunder from Down Under when I was at Vegas last time.
Really?
Yeah. Like I said, my friend got married and the guys went out. We just went. I mean, we do.
I don't get male strippers.
Yeah. Well.
I don't get it. Because always, to me, a wiener is funny. Like, I should have did that while you were drinking.
That's okay.
But like, I like a strip club too. Like, most times when a guy walks into a female strip club, they're not walking in like, this is going to be awesome. They mostly go, this is going to be a shit show. This is going to be a blast.
Well, actually, I kind of feel bad for male strippers because, like,
there's no limitations.
Like, and there's really a double standard. Like, if you want to talk
double standard,
yeah, this thing could go on for like another hour. You talk about, women would be like, they don't want their bodies objectified, things like that. That's fine. But if you're a stripper, like that's your money. Your money is to objectify your body. Like you should whatever. Male strippers.
I wish I could be a stripper. I just don't have it.
So here's the thing: you go to a female strip club, you do not touch.
You literally have to put your hands behind your chair.
Do not touch. Like that is.
Oh my god! I'm so sorry.
It's unacceptable. Now, I went to see Thunder from Down Under. That was like more of like a show. Like that's like more of like
we're not coming out and touching you.
Show.
You're not touching us.
But I went to like back in the day. I went to this place. It was down in Philly. That was crazy. And let me just tell you, these women were so bold. Like these guys probably had bruised butt cheeks. Okay, they had bruised butt cheeks because these women like were literally like scratching their chest. And I'm like, behave yourself. Like,
and then they're like,
seriously.
Well, women hear that, like they go to a male thing and they're like, oh my god, I had his whole thing in my hands. And then like their husband's like, I'm gonna go to the strip club. They're like, fuck you are.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same thing. We can't even look at them for more than 6 seconds or we get in trouble.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, very cool. All right. All right.
Yeah, no, there's definitely probably like a double standard there. But like you said, like, sometimes there's more of like shows or what have you.
I just seen the Chippendales and I immediately thought of the Patrick Swayze and the Chris Farley.
Absolutely.
And I'm eating my burger. Like, I can go in there and kill it.
Yes. Yes.
I'm 240 pounds. I'll show some man. This is what we really look like with chest hair and stretch marks.
The dad bod, man bod thing is in.
I don't even have kids. I'm like a stepdad bod.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's just the age. You know what I mean? You get to a certain age and things you start slowing down. You stop doing so much.
Yeah, you just stop working out and doing 4 podcasts a week. You're like, you go to the gym? No, I'm editing most of my life.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand how that could like really kind of get into your system. I started going to a 5 a.m. gym class because
Jesus,
it was the only way that I could get it in.
Get it done.
When when my kids were little, Steve works. I'd have to go before he goes to work or before I had to do my day, and that worked really well for me. I haven't been in a while.
Yeah, Andy and Ben do the gym, and they do the gym right. I can literally pick up a rock and hit the gym from my house.
Well, I never realized that I kind of like have a natural jock body, or athletic style body that I could just
pick it up and do it.
When I start working out, I have fast results.
Yeah, I just never like really kind of did that. I mean, like when I was in school, I played like volleyball, like in like middle school, but I didn't play in high school.
Yeah,
I didn't want to sound rude, but I didn't want to really associate.
Do you like volleyball?
Yeah.
Because Heidi plays like in pots. Like she has a group of people that like they contact each other and they go play a bare field all the time.
Oh, like I would, I would play like I would just kind of like.
She's
play
in
just to
leagues.
kick it.
Like she's a psycho with it. So if you're into volleyball and you ever want to jump in, you message Heidi. She'll get you in.
Give me a sub.
They're always
Let me
looking.
come in like super weird, kind of kicking dirt, looking at my shoe, being like, I haven't played in a really long time, but
They just want people to play.
yeah. I just kind of
Except me, I'm never allowed.
I kind of picked it up naturally. I was like, oh, like here's, when I was, like I said, when I was in high school, I didn't really get into sports because it's not, jocks were always kind of like the meat kids. They were the people that were kind of pushy, and I just didn't want to kind of be part of that.
I was a jock, but definitely
weird.
I wasn't cool enough to hang out with the jocks.
Yeah.
And I looked like a nerd. So I had the bowl haircut, fucked up teeth, glasses, super scrawny, but I was always somewhat athletic. So like, oh fuck. I always joke around like the last picked in gym class.
Yeah.
Like that was almost our name for the one. Like if I do a sports podcast, that's
Right.
what it's going to be called. If it's probably already taken, but that's what I want. Like the last picked in gym class.
Yeah.
And then I'd get picked, and then I was really, really fast, and I could run for forever, and I was a decent athlete. And they're like, "What the fuck? He was the last pick?" And they're like, "Oh, he's killed." Like, and I always get lucky too. They're like, "All right, get the kid with missing his leg and half his arm, and you cover fucking that thing." And I was that thing, and then I'd be like, "All right," and they'd pass me the ball, and I would do amazing, and and they're like, shit, and they'd have to readjust their whole lineup to get the better kid to guard me, and then they're like, yeah, you should play more often. I was like, so that was like my into being cool at one point.
Yeah.
It was sports, yeah.
So yeah, and so now like just going and doing this and that. It's very important as we get older. Like we said, that's the first step to like.
I started
exercise.
yoga.
I love yoga. I
have the DDP yoga, like the wrestler guy.
Yeah. We do DDP yoga
Really?
at home for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. We do DDP.
That's what I'm going to do tonight before I go to bed.
The wake up is great. You know what I mean? It gives you like this like little 10-minute thing. Like if you can't do anything else, if you can
It only
get
takes like
in-
20 minutes.
Yeah, if you can't do anything else, if you get in 10 or 20 minutes, that's
Yeah.
it's a start. Like Pig said, people don't know where to start. Start somewhere.
Yeah.
Start anywhere.
And
if people are looking for don't know what to
just
do,
try
start
it
somewhere.
Yeah, just wake up and do 5 push-ups every day.
Yeah.
If like do the Herschel Walker, push-ups, sit-ups, dips.
Yeah.
That's all he did, and jumping jacks. And you're like, that's stupid. Like it works. Or just squats, push-ups, sit-ups, dips, squats.
Right.
Just do like 20 a day.
Well, the problem is 98% will do it for 5 days, and then you know what I mean. Drop off. Here's
30 days.
This is.
That's how to start a habit, good or bad. It's 30 days.
And here's something. Give yourself some forgiveness. It's not an all or nothing thing.
Yeah.
It's never an all or nothing change. Like, listen, you didn't put on 40 pounds, or you didn't start to feel poor, you did whatever. You didn't do that overnight, and it's not an overnight
Yeah,
change.
I went from 185 abs looking real good to 240, and I'm like, how did this happen?
Yeah. I mean, anything, personal growth, physical growth, anything. Give yourself time. It takes it takes a while to change a habit, like you said.
And then when
30
you go
days.
through that whole process, you're like, man, I fucking did that? Like, that was that long ago?
Yeah.
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 That's how I'm feeling with the show.
Yeah.
Like, I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I watched the first episode. I'm like, that looks and sounds terrible, but look where I'm at now.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I don't know. This one might hit the cutting room floor. It got a little
No,
weird.
no, this is all staying. It's all staying. I know I never edit anything out. It's just
That's okay.
a full conversation. But I really appreciate you contacting us and coming in. It's so much fun.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me.
And you like push Steve over, which is amazing too, because
Yeah.
he's an amazing addition to the show.
Oh, I'm glad you
And I'm
like him.
going to try to
I'm
get.
partial.
Yeah, he's all right.
That beard.
Yeah,
That beard.
I'm trying. I almost shaved it off today. Because I'm at that like fuzzy phase, and I think it looks terrible, and I can't trim it down because I have 2 patchy spots. But as it's longer, I can cover it better.
Right.
So I just got to do the oils more. I got to keep putting the product in to like make the hair look nicer, and it lays nicer.
Well, Steve doesn't. He'll give you a tip. He doesn't shampoo like
Every time.
Every time.
Yeah, I do like every other or like once a week.
He'll mainly just condition.
Yeah.
He'll just condition.
I just get a shower, I wash my face, and then I get out of the shower and I have like this cream, and I put the cream in before I go to bed. And then I just...
One time I took a straightening iron to his beard. I was kind of curious because I see the ad and they're like, talk about it. I'm like, hey, let me just see what it looks like. He looked like a feral Mancoon cat. It was like sticking out all over the place. He was so mad at me because he's like trying to wet it and it wouldn't like retame. And it was like literally like like sticking out on all ends.
Yeah. I'm thinking about... I used to have really long hair. Like down to my chest. It looked really good. I think I'm gonna grow. It's like my new thing is like I'm gonna start working out again and growing my hair back. But the problem is when you regrow your hair back, you have that weird transition phase, and it's just like this looks horrible. I don't know how I'm gonna. And before I got away with it because I worked in factories, so I can throw a hat on.
Right.
And now I work in like a corporate desk job where I have to I can't wear anything on my head.
What? Yeah, but you can always pull it back. You know what?
When I can get to that point,
Well, yeah,
and I'm gonna look like Justin Bieber for 6 months.
Well, listen, because I don't hate the man bun. Like
I love my man bun.
Yeah, like
and everyone, listen, the guys look at you and go, "Oh, dude, what the fuck, man, a man bun?" I'm like, yeah, but your girlfriend loves it.
Yeah, like our forefathers rocked a man bun. Like they wore powdered wigs. Like these is like legit. Yeah, no, hair is great. Like long hair. I cut off last year. I cut off 14 inches.
Yeah,
like,
I was down my chest. I chopped it and I donated it.
Yeah, same. Before that, I had dreads like down to my waist, and then I cut it. I go through these really weird transitions where I'll like go short hair, long hair.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm rocking. I call it the mom hawk. It's like kind of a mohawk, kind of a Karen.
Yeah.
Karen
The
hair,
bang.
hair to the side kind of haircut. But yeah, no, it's
I think it matches your face structure though. It's nice.
That's a dedicated process to grow, and especially then to cut and donate. That's really admirable.
I'm gonna do when it gets to the long point. I'll just do what I did before. I did the whole I look like a John Gotti where I just slicked it all back. I'm gonna go back to that look.
Pin it back. Well, yeah. Steve's always like, he's like, when do you grow your hair back? He doesn't like it short, but I'm like, yeah, you know what? I have girls, like I said, I got daughters, so I gotta do their hair and make sure that they're dressed. Like if I could spend less than 5 minutes in front of a mirror, like that is good for me. Like
I'm like I comb my hair in the morning.
Yeah, no, I am
just,
not.
like,
I am.
Call it a day.
If you miss, like, I am not a priority anymore at all. Like. My job is to service like everybody else. Make sure that everybody else has shit. Sometimes I gotta make sure that everybody has lunch, food, clothes on. You're like, whose shoes are you wearing?
I was one of those kids who walked to school the one time with 2 different shoes on. So yeah, you're people like you are definitely needed. But all right, well, thank you so much. I know we tried to wrap like 3 times and then we get stuck on another sidetrack. But this is the beauty of our show. It's just fun. It's a good time.
Thanks for having me.
Did you have a fun time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, would you do it again?
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, we'll definitely be back. And if you have anybody else that would be interested, definitely send them our way.
Yeah, for sure.
That'll do it for Interviews with Everyday People. If you made it this far. And you didn't hit that subscribe button, shame on you. Do it now. Where am I looking? Down here. No, over here. There is a little button. Click it. All right? Because I've had videos that like 500 people watched, and I'm about at 300 subscribers now for like ever. Yeah, like there's like 1,000 people watch. Just hit the button, help me, because YouTube will pay me. It doesn't even come out of your pocket. It comes out of YouTube, and it helps me. And if you're listening on any other device, give us a review and share it. Let people know that this is going on in our area. I'm always looking to meet new people, and it's fun. It's a good time. All right, that'll wrap it up for us. Check out another little closing track for Vito, and go check out his pages on Spotify and everything. And you can go see him live performing pretty soon at HMAC. So you can always go see him there or any other place in the Harrisburg area. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. There it is. What do you think? How long?
My ear's burning. How long do I think it is? Oh my god. Was it an hour and 45?
Living my life, just living my life, just living my life. It's my time. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. It's my time. Athletic at the peak of my life. Slipped a couple times. I was speeding on ice. Never took a risk. Then you cheating your life. You never took a risk. Then you cheating your life. It's a hole in my heart, probably never be filled. And part of me thinks it'll never be healed. I lost some of my family to the dope. Overflow my mind with positive vibes, that's how I cope. They ask if I stop, I tell them no. Speak foul on my name, clean your mouth out with soap. I'm crying right now while I'm writing this shit. I'm dying inside just from fighting this shit. Amidst all the darkness, I see light in this bitch. Give me one small spark and I'm igniting this bitch.